between me and the other girl, and then moving all the way to Alabama with the girl. But he wanted to talk about one time when he had kids and they were looking for me. They were looking for you all the time. While he was doing all that research trying to figure out who I was talking to, he failed to tell anybody that he was engaged to this girl.
What?
While he was still married.
Why would you put me on child support if I'm supporting my child already?
You help diapers here and there. I've been doing it since day one, Tony, so don't try that.
You have been coming around lately because
why? Because she keeps moving and people get tired reaching out. Here.
She has reached out to you plenty of times.
This case is a wild ride from the start. Judge Lake kicks things off with Carr v. Villa, where Mr. Carr claims Ms. Villa is a serial cheater who's dodged a DNA test for 3 years. Ms. Villa admits to mistakes but insists Mr. Carr is the father. If you think that's messy, just wait. It's about to get worse than a toddler with cake.
Mr. Carr, you state that Miss Villa is a notorious cheater who tried to pin her daughter Trinity on you.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim there is no way you are the father and had to open today's case because she's been running from you and a DNA test for 3 years.
From a Facebook message to a paternity lawsuit, things escalated fast. Mr. Carr calls Ms. Villa a liar, but admits he kept taking her back. Ms. Villa explains it started as a one-night stand. Then, boom, a baby. Judge Lake is shocked, and even Jerome is nodding like, this is crazy.
He hit me up on Facebook, and it went from a one-night stand to us having a kid.
Wow, that is a huge jump, Jerome. And it turned into a relationship from just meeting on Facebook. What is this, love at first sight for you all? Like, what you were just
No, Your Honor.
We want to do this?
The problem was I couldn't get rid of her, Your Honor.
Things go from bad to worse fast. Ms. Villa proudly says she always admitted when she cheated, as if that helps. Mr. Carr insists she cheated with 8 guys, basically a whole basketball team. Ms. Villa argues it was just one guy, but the real mess begins when they debate the baby's conception timeline.
So how did you find out she was cheating on you?
I told him each time he would let me leave, and I would come back and I let him know that I did it. And he still took me back.
And what would you let him know, Miss Villa?
That I messed around with the person I left with.
No, Your Honor. She cheated 8 different times with 8 different people.
8 different times with 8 different people?
Yes, Your Honor.
In the beginning, no.
Hold on.
Math lovers, prepare to be confused. Mr. Carr says Ms. Villa told him she was pregnant 3 days after they hooked up. He swears the dates don't add up. Ms. Villa is certain the baby was conceived in the backseat of a car while his friend was driving. Yes, really. Then, the argument shifts to the baby's due date.
The times of conception was she slept with a man on the 31st of January.
Tony,
Me and her slept together on February the 14th. 3 days later, the 17th, she tells me that she's pregnant. I'm like, how are you pregnant?
Tony, you're a liar.
So you have sex 3 days later and she tells you, now I'm pregnant.
Yes.
So you thinking like, how do you know you pregnant 3 days after we just have sex?
Exactly.
Now it's science time, and it's more confusing than a pop quiz. Mr. Carr insists the Halloween birth date means the baby belongs to the other guy. Ms. Villa swears she was born early, making Mr. Carr the father. Judge Lake just nods like, y'all need a calendar.
If you have your child on October the 31st, that means that it is the other man's
You're a
child.
liar. Trinity
Because
was
that's
due
exactly 9
November
months.
21st. I had her 3 weeks early.
So you're saying the conception window is off, Miss Villa, because since Trinity was born early, you technically would have had a due date of 3 weeks later than
Yes,
that.
she was due November 21st of 2015. I had her October 31st.
From yelling to crying, Mr. Carr says he's been raising a child who might not be his. He loves her but fears the truth. Ms. Villa tells him he didn't have to stay. Bad timing. Just when emotions hit their peak, Mr. Carr reveals all the times he tried to get a DNA test.
Do you have a relationship with her?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm with her every day of the week, just about. I play my role as a father. No matter what it is, no matter how much pain, I still treat her like she's my own child.
And that hurts you.
Because I didn't deserve that. I didn't deserve to go through what I went through.
But you kept taking me back.
Ms. Villa dodging a DNA test could be an Olympic sport. Mr. Carr shows proof of her moving cities every time he tried. She claims she moved for the baby, which makes no sense. Then, her best friend jumps in and spills the real tea.
So you say she's been running away from a DNA test.
I was in Alabama. She was in Tampa, Florida. I tried to hook the cases together. As soon as she received the letter, she moves from Tampa, Florida to Muscle Shoals, Alabama. That's when we stayed together for the little bit that we did. From Decatur, Alabama, she moves from Decatur to Chicago, Illinois.
And boom, Everything falls apart. Ms. Villa's best friend admits she had a one-night stand during conception time. The courtroom gasps. Judge Lake gives her the "you did not just lie" look. Ms. Villa scrambles for an excuse, but now everyone just wants those DNA results.
A couple of times she's complained to me that he has not been wanting it.
Why would you put me on child support if I'm supporting my child already?
You help diapers here and there. I've
If
been
you
doing
don't
it
want me
since day
part
one,
of
Tony, so
Trinity's
don't
life,
try
then
that.
just say,
You have been coming around lately because
Why? Because she keeps moving and people get tired reaching out. Here.
She has reached out to you plenty of times.
You could hear a pin drop. Judge Lake opens the envelope.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Carr, you are the father.
This case was wild before it even began. Mr. Thompson walked in, hoping to save his 11-year marriage, but things already looked bad. Doubting if newborn Micah was his, he wanted a DNA test, while Mrs. Pate Thompson prayed he was the father, because otherwise things would get messy.
Mr. Thompson, you are in court today in hopes of saving your 11-year marriage. Your wife has a newborn, 4-month-old Micah Pate Thompson, who you hope is your baby, but say your doubts are overwhelming.
Yes, Your Honor.
Their marriage was beyond rocky. More like a crumbling sandcastle. They hadn't shared a room in months, and Mr. Thompson complained about her not cooking, cleaning, or working. Despite the chaos, he still wanted to be Micah's dad, but the doubt was eating him alive.
The encouraged times of our relationship it's rocky. We don't sleep in the same bedroom. We haven't slept in the same bedroom in years. We haven't had sex probably in about 7-8 months. She don't like to cook, she don't like to clean, she don't like to work. It's a lot going on, other than Micah. So every marriage is not perfect, but it's a lot going on.
Their love story and marriage. It started like a rom-com, but turned into a reality TV disaster. They met in college, and after an unexpected pregnancy, his mom suggested they marry. Their chaotic wedding involved nachos, drinks, and a quick counseling session. It wasn't happily ever after, but definitely what just happened.
We met in college. We had a class together, and he sat behind me, cracking jokes, trying to copy off my test. Next thing you know, we were talking and we were together in a relationship. You couldn't see him without seeing me.
Mr. Thompson, you met and you were very happy together.
Yes, ma'am.
You decided to get married.
She ended up eventually moving in with me and my family.
First signs of infidelity. If red flags were alarms, theirs would be deafening. Mr. Thompson caught her texting other men and started DNA testing their kids. He felt like he was in a never-ending episode of Are You the Father? And sadly, the drama was just beginning.
What went wrong was when me and LaToya first started getting into marriage and stuff like that, I had found out she was doing some things that she shouldn't have been doing. Text messaging, meeting up with guys and stuff like that. So when I confronted her, she said it wasn't true. Found out otherwise. I had to get DNA tests on my first 2 boys by her. We married, but every time, while we're in a marriage, and every time you get pregnant, I gotta get a DNA test.
Separation and moving on, their break only made things worse. Mr. Thompson moved out while Mrs. Pate Thompson made new online friends, like a full-time job. Meanwhile, he stalked her social media like a detective, and what he found was jaw-dropping.
When I left, she said she was gonna work on herself. Me and her had ample
While he was
conversations
with somebody else.
about her working on herself because she deleted me off social media. I found out she started adding all these other dudes to her social media page.
Because you were gone, you were living with somebody else.
She didn't want to move on. She said she was gonna work on.
Were you all planning to get a divorce?
Nah.
Yes.
When she said she had a job interview in Atlanta, Mr. Thompson wasn't buying it. She ignored his calls, and when she finally confessed the truth, it was exactly what he suspected, and then some.
So she goes to Atlanta. Me and my other 2 boys, we went out, dinner, movie, we out hanging out. She called me, I missed the call. Called her back, she didn't answer, I'm texting her. She was texting, but she not calling. She said she in a job interview. It don't make no sense. Why are you texting me in a job interview, but you can't pick your phone up? She was like, well, we went out, and my friend took my phone, and she said, we out, so you don't need to be on the phone. I'm like, man, you married, you got kids, and what woman gonna tell you some trash like that?
A second trip to Atlanta and more doubts. The second trip had him in full investigator mode. He checked phone records and found a mystery Atlanta number. Turns out it was a guy. Her explanation? As believable as a cat denying it knocked over a cup.
Go back to Atlanta the second time. So I was like, okay, once again, I know what you're going to do. So I was like, let me go ahead and let you go so I can compile me a little bit of evidence. In the email, there's nothing in there. One Atlanta phone number that keep popping up. And I researched phone number that's coming back to a gentleman. So when she finally called me, so what you out there doing? I was like, so I'm looking at the phone bill and this one Atlanta number keep popping up and it's from a male. She was like, one of my friends. Yeah, it's a male.
Plot twist. He wasn't so innocent either. Mrs. Pate Thompson revealed he was engaged to another woman. He tried to deny it, then straight up admitted it. If bad decisions were a sport, they'd both win gold.
Between me and the other girl, and then moving all the way to Alabama with the girl. But he wanted to talk about one time when he had kids and they were looking for me. They were looking for you all the time. While he was doing all that research trying to figure out who I was talking to, he failed to tell anybody that he was engaged to this girl.
What?
While he was still married.
Turns out, Mrs. Pate Thompson first told another guy he was Micah's dad. Mr. Thompson remembered sleeping with her once during that time, but was too drunk to be sure. The question remained, was Micah really his?
The point when you found out you were pregnant with Micah.
The first person I told was the other guy. The timeline and the way the conception and everything, I was thinking it was the other guy because I wasn't with Marcus at the time.
We had sex one time in that time frame. I don't know if it was before the first time she went to Atlanta or when she came back, but she said it was another time. I don't know. I was drunk anyway, so I don't know which time it was.
Despite everything, Mr. Thompson tried to be there for Micah. He missed the birth due to work, but later stepped up as a father. However, he never signed the birth certificate. His doubts were too strong.
It was a struggle for me to even get her to let me come to a doctor's appointment. And she was just like, I didn't think you want to go because of the situation. At the end of the day, I'm a man before anything, and if I'm gonna be that boy's father, I don't want to miss out on nothing. I missed the birth of the baby because I was out of town for work. You know, I went straight to the hospital. I was watching the baby, you know, doing all types. The only thing I didn't do was sign the birth certificate.
The results were in, and the courtroom held its breath.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Thompson, you are not the father.
Okay, so this one was wild right from the start. The case of Lyde versus Ellis is introduced. And right away, we find out Danielle Lyde has believed for 26 years that Mr. Ellis is her dad. But Mr. Ellis? Nope, he says that's impossible. Claims her mom was out partying and cheating. The way this man is so confident, oh, he's in for a big surprise.
Ms. Lyde, you say that for 26 years you have known only one man, the defendant, Mr. Ellis, to be your biological father. And you're devastated that he is claiming you're not his. You say that Ms. Lyde's mother was unfaithful during your 7-year relationship and that you are certain you are not Ms. Lyde's biological father.
Oh man, this part was straight up heartbreaking. Danielle Lyde talks about how rough her childhood was. No dad, bouncing between foster homes, no male role model at all. She says it was tough, and honestly, you could feel the hurt in her voice. But before you can even start to feel too bad, Mr. Ellis comes in with some next level nonsense.
I didn't really have a relationship with Mr. Ellis. Growing up, it was just me and my mom. I've been in and out of group homes, foster homes, no male role model in my life. It's been hard. I had a long, hard life growing up.
When you hear her talk about her life without you.
Now, this was the moment where everyone watching just collectively sighed. Mr. Ellis says he doesn't believe Danielle is his daughter because she's too light-skinned for him to be the dad. He also says her mom was disappearing for weeks at a time, so obviously she must have been with other men. Oh, buddy, the logic here is as thin as a single piece of toilet paper.
I'm not her father. I mean, her mother, she disappears weeks at a time, out there partying. Look bright as she is. I mean, I ain't no doctor or nothing, but I'm pretty sure two people this color ain't gonna make no baby this bright-skinned. I mean, she was practically white.
I don't feel like that's correct because my son was white with black hair and blue eyes. I'm not white. I don't have blue eyes.
At this point, we enter full-on mystery mode. Mr. Ellis claims there was already a DNA test done years ago, and according to him, the results were crystal clear, 99.9% not the father. So naturally, he stopped paying child support and moved on with his life. But hold up, because here comes a huge twist that makes this whole situation even messier.
When I was away, her mother called child support on me. They came and took the DNA test.
You got the results back?
I got the results back. It was 99.9 that I wasn't the father. So I showed her the paperwork.
So wouldn't you want to keep some kind of information or record so if I did grow up and I had questions,
no, I
say,
would not.
hey,
I would not want to keep that kind of information.
If you thought this was just a simple case of he said, she said, get ready to upgrade to he said, she said, and she said something completely different, Ms. Lyde's mom steps up and says, yeah, we did a DNA test and it said yes, he's the father. Wait, what? Two completely opposite DNA results? Somebody's lying, somebody's confused, or the universe just decided to mess with this family.
A DNA test was performed, yes or no?
Yes.
What were the results?
They said in the court 99% yes.
That 99.9% that yes, he was Danielle's biological father.
Yes, that's
Thank you
our
so much.
report.
That's what I wanted to know. You may be seated.
At this point, the whole courtroom was sitting up straight, watching this go down like it was a Netflix drama. Ms. Lyde is fed up. She's mad at her mom, mad at Mr. Ellis, mad at the whole situation. She talks about how not having a dad made her make bad choices in life. And honestly, you just want to give her a hug. But before the tears could even dry, things got even more awkward.
I don't look like most of the people on my mom's side of the family, so I know there has to be some kind of connection. People do things in life that is unexplainable. Me, I look at myself and I love myself. I look at myself in the mirror every day and I appreciate myself. If another human being on this earth don't want to accept me for who I am, that's not going to stop me from loving me for who I am.
You ever hear someone talk about their life and just think, dang, this person has been through it? That's what this moment was. Danielle explains how not having a father made her struggle with self-worth and relationships. She says she never had that dad to guide her and help her know what a good man looks like. And if you thought the drama was over, nope. Now enters Grandma Ellis with some things to say.
I feel like if I had a male role model, you know, I wouldn't have to go out there and experience things I experienced looking for love in a man. Like, I should have had that firm man connection bond to where I know what to look in a man. Being with your dad, father-daughter dances, you know, just having that role model I can call on when I'm going through something, or just the extra shoulder and support to cry on.
This was the part where you just wanted to yell, oh, come on now. Mr. Ellis's mom, aka Grandma Ellis, takes the stand and says she never believed Danielle was her granddaughter. Why? Because when she saw baby Danielle, she was too big and looked 4 months old at just 1 month. Oh, and also, some neighbor told her something about Danielle having a brother. Yeah, because obviously neighbors are the most reliable DNA testers, right?
When I first saw the baby at a month old, she looked 4 months old. And from what I had heard from my son, her father's a great big man. What I heard from my neighbor, she has a little brother that she and the little brother were like twins, and the grandmother, Miss Lyde Seniors, brought the baby over in the house behind mine every day for a week.
Just when you thought things couldn't get pettier, this happens. Danielle brings up a moment from when she was 10, saying she ran into Grandma Ellis on a trolley and introduced herself. And what did Grandma say? "Get out of my face or I'll smack you." Oh, the audience gasps. But Grandma swears she never said that. It was a real somebody's lying. But who moment?
I was 10. I want to introduce myself like, you know, I'm Mr. Ellis's daughter. On my face or I will smack you.
What? She's lying. This little girl slid up, teenager. She said, "Hi." I said, "Hello. Do you know me?" I said, "No." "Should I? I'm your granddaughter." I said, "No, you're not." I said, "I know who her daddy is, and you're not gonna put that on my son." And they're both lying.
At this point, even Judge Lake was like, all right, what the heck is going on here? She lays it out. Danielle has been told her whole life that Mr. Ellis is her dad, but he says he has proof that he isn't. Yet nobody has actually seen this proof. It's like a detective movie, but with way more yelling and family drama. And finally, we're about to get some real answers.
Her point is she's been told her whole life you are her biological father. You say you had proof that she was not. End of the day, Mr. Ellis, you're saying that she's 99.9% not your biological daughter. And Ms. Lyde, you're saying he's 99.9% your father. And that's where the mystery is.
Because I'm 99.99% lost and confused.
A lawyer steps in to try and explain how something this messy even happens. Turns out, child support cases can be super confusing, and sometimes the system straight up messes up, like, oops, we told you to pay for a kid that's not yours. Our bad. The expert basically says, yeah, it's possible that a mistake was made here. Oh, and speaking of mistakes, we're about to find out if Mr. Ellis made a big one.
As a family attorney for the last 17 years, stranger things have happened in family court. Child support is not for the mother to waive. So even if Mrs. Lyde's mom said, you know, we're on good terms, I'll waive it. You can't do that because the Department of Child Support Services is there and they're involved. And they're gonna enforce the order if, in fact, the father is the father and there's enough income to enforce this order.
You could feel the tension through the screen at this moment. Judge Lake pulls out the envelope. Everyone holds their breath. And then, boom, the DNA test says,
it has been determined by this court. Mr. Ellis, you are the father.
Whoa! I knew it! Yes! Boom! Ha!
Buckle up, folks. This case is about to take us on a wild ride. The judge announces Luttrell vs. Leaks, and Ms. Luttrell is here to find out who her real dad is. She hopes DNA will confirm it, but something tells me it won't be that easy.
Ms. Luttrell, you found your case because you say after a lifetime of confusion of not knowing who your biological father is and receiving no help from your mother, you are now hopeful because you believe you have finally found your dad.
Imagine meeting your dad for the first time. Crazy, right? Ms. Luttrell confirms she's never met Mr. Leaks. The judge asks if she's ready, and she nervously says yes. You can almost hear the dramatic music.
Yes, I believe that I found him because I did a DNA test through Ancestry.com.
And you have never met him?
No, I've never met him in person, face to face.
Are you ready to see him for the first time?
Yes, I'm really excited. I really would like to see him.
Jerome, will you please escort Mr. Leaks into the courtroom?
Ms. Luttrell's mom gave her 3 different stories. First, dad left for cigarettes and never returned. confirmed. Then, Mom just didn't want him around. And now, Mom straight up says, "Girl, I don't even know."
I was told that my father had went to the store and apparently was to buy cigarettes, and he never came back. And then when I was 13 years old, she told me that basically she didn't really want my father in my life. I asked her about my father, and she told me that basically, you know, sorry daughter, I just really don't know, so long ago and I can't remember.
The judge pulls up an exhibit, 3 possible dads. One was a co-worker, one a classmate, and one a mystery man from a party. Mom admits to short relationships and losing contact. This is turning into who's the daddy?
You say there are 3 possible fathers, one of which was a co-worker.
Yes, we dated, we got familiar with each other, and then it ended up in intimacy.
Did you ever tell that person you were pregnant?
I didn't know how to contact them, and I had moved as well.
You also say that there was a classmate.
Mom kind of remembers an African-American man at a party, but she isn't sure if it was Mr. Leeks. Basically, she's saying, I might have been there, he might have been there, who knows? Sherlock Holmes would need more clues.
What happened with Mr. Lee?
It was a party that had occurred in my neighborhood, and I got to know somebody, I don't know if it's him, but somebody that could be her father at that party.
Do you know this man?
I don't know him. When she brought him up, I just said, well, he looks familiar.
Modern technology saves the day. Ms. Luttrell finds a match on Ancestry.com, messages a cousin, and discovers Lee Leeks. She then Facebook stalks him and thinks she looks like his daughter. But is it real or just wishful thinking?
And so how did you connect with him through his family?
Through Ancestry.com, directly messaged a family member who was my cousin, says he was my cousin. And then his wife actually was the one who made his profile. So I was talking directly mostly with his wife. And then I also talked to him as well. They came to the conclusion that possibly Lee Leeks could be my father in the family.
Ah!
Mom's vague description doesn't help much. She did say he was younger, and Mr. Leeks was 19 while she was 35. Mom admits she was at a party with a younger guy, but that's still a whole lot of maybe.
Well, my mom, like I said, the 3 stories that I gave you was talk to her about like the age range as well. Like at the time he would have been, I think, 19 and she was 35. She said it is possible because she remembers going to the party, like she had stated, and he was younger.
Oh, she remembered sleeping with a young guy at this party.
Yes.
Most confident denial ever. The judge asks if he remembers the party, and he flat out says no. No hesitation, just a firm, I would have remembered that. The audience laughs. Same, dude.
Do you remember this party and this one-night stand?
No, I'm just looking at it right now thinking, okay, it's nice to meet you, but no, I was not at that party.
Were you ever at a party having sex with an older woman?
No. You know, if I'm having a child or anything like that, if I even know there's a chance I'll have a child, I'm sticking around. I'm not going anywhere.
Mr. Leeks pulls out a picture of his mom, and whoa, they do look alike. Even the judge pauses. If he's not the dad, then why does she look like his mom's twin?
Miss Luttrell submitted a younger photo of herself. Does that look more familiar to you? So you don't remember her from a party? You don't remember her?
No, I will say this, if I can just share this with you.
Yes.
And
what is this evidence, sir?
This is a picture of her right next to my mom. They're side by side on here. And they look so much alike. She's related to us somehow, some way.
Plot twist. At the time of conception, they lived just 14 minutes apart. They could have crossed paths, but Mr. Leeks is sticking to his story. He was not at that party.
The truth is you all didn't live too far away from one another at that time. You were in Sacramento, Mr. Leeks, and Ms. Luttrell, you were as well about 14 minutes away from one another. So, I mean, it wouldn't be inconceivable to think you could have been at the same party.
If I was partying that good, that must have been a good party. And I mean...
When she asked his family, they said, yeah, Lee was wild back then. Not exactly a strong denial. She's desperate for a DNA test. Will science prove what she feels in her heart?
Begging you, I'm pleading for this DNA test because we have a really strong connection as well over the phone. I've felt like his daughter just talking with him, and as well as the other similarities with me being a musician. He told me that his mother was a singer. So I really, truly believe that this is a big possibility that he's my father.
Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Leeks, you are not the father.
Oh boy, this case is messy from the start. Judge Lake introduces Jones vs. Hernandez/Trevino, where two women claim Mr. Trevino is their baby daddy, but he's outside dodging drama like it's a reality show. When he walks in, you just know it's about to get wild.
You are each here today to prove to a man that he is the father of your children.
Yes, sir.
Now that man, Mr. Trevino, is waiting outside the courtroom and will join us shortly.
Mr. Trevino walks in looking like pure awkwardness. Miss Jones comes out swinging, saying he's been denying her daughter, like a game of ping pong. He's just standing there like, I just want the truth. But Miss Jones is not having it. Buckle up, it's gonna be a long ride.
Mr. Trevino, your name was popping up so much, I just figured we better just bring you on in.
How you doing? He's denied her back and forth. He says, I'm not the father. You have not been there.
My family and I have done a lot.
Keyword, your family.
Now it gets weird. Mr. Trevino pulls out a doctor's timeline like he's solving a crime. He claims he doesn't remember being with Miss Jones then, and she claps back, of course you don't. The way he's stumbling. She might be right, but she's about to take it up a notch.
Now you claim you went to a doctor's appointment at some point in June, around the 18th.
Yes.
And you're thinking back to that week in March, the estimated dates of conception. I don't remember being intimate with her around that time.
Judge Lake tries to bring in some feelings, reminding Miss Jones she once loved Mr. Trevino. She admits it, but quickly adds, he was also a hot mess. The emotions are flying, but don't get too comfy. It's about to explode.
You did choose to be with him, so it had to be something about him you like.
You're right. And you have to follow your heart, who you love at the time. I did. I was in love with him. I don't remember nothing because he's a charmer. I was always intimate when he wanted.
Oh, now you don't remember.
The spiteful lie boom. Miss Jones admits she once told Mr. Trevino he wasn't the father, just to hurt him, and she says it felt good. Trevino looks like he just found out Santa isn't real. He's not buying her excuse, and things are about to get crazier.
It turned into an argument, and right away, she went down and gave me a low blow, and I was like, I've been doing this. She said, I said, you know what, I've been doing all this and the baby, and she's probably not even mine. And she says, matter of fact, she's not yours.
Oh, and it felt so good.
So you're saying you set it out of spite.
Now Trevino fires back, saying Miss Jones used to party and date married men. She's like, I was single and living my best life. They're throwing accusations like it's a roast battle. But hold up, there's another woman about to join the fight.
Before we got into a serious relationship, she was club hopping. She was, going out with him and going out with him, bringing him
with
home.
No children.
Yes, you were engaged and married.
Oh, really?
Maybe
you're
you gotta get
flipping your
yours
story.
Too. Everybody has to do their own thing and get theirs. And
okay.
You told me out of her mouth because when we started getting to know each other, I asked her what type of person she was.
Now Trevino questions if Hernandez's baby is his. His reason? She got dressed up every time he left for work. Oh, and the baby has a hairy back, but he claims he isn't hairy. Hernandez is like, dude, I'm Mexican. We're just hairy. This logic is next level ridiculous.
There's been so many times where I'm going off to work and she's over here straightening her hair and putting on makeup. Why don't you do that while I'm there? You should be doing that for me, not when I'm on my way to work.
No,
guys coming over, and when I'm getting home from work,
coming over
they're
for
leaving.
my brothers, not coming over
You know
for
what I
me.
mean? Like,
I can't.
And her brothers, by the way, her brothers hate me.
Judge Lake has had it. She tells Miss Jones she can't complain when she once told Trevino he wasn't the dad. Then she tells Trevino to quit playing detective. The courtroom is holding its breath. Time for the big moment.
Now, when you get so angry at a man, I'm gonna hurt you the way you hurt me, and I'm gonna tell you that this child isn't yours, because he then starts to act like child isn't his.
You're right.
Here we go. DNA results. Surprise, surprise.
Mr. Trevino, you are father.
Ms. Tucker is trying to prove Mr. Hunter is her father after her mom dropped a DNA bomb on her 10 years ago. She thought another man was her dad, but that turned out to be wrong. Mr. Hunter has been dodging DNA tests like it's an Olympic sport.
Miss Tucker, you believed another man was your dad until a bomb was dropped on you 10 years ago when your mother admitted that the defendant is your biological father. You opened your case to prove to Mr. Hunter that he is your dad.
Ms. Tucker is desperate for answers after growing up thinking the wrong man was her father. He told her over the phone in 5th grade that he wasn't her dad, like a bad customer service call. Now she just wants the truth, but things are about to get even messier.
I opened my case because for these last few years, I have been trying to get Charles to do a DNA test with me. I scheduled a test, he didn't show up, and it's just a lot of confusion in my own mind, and it's very traumatic to me. I'm trying to figure out if he's my father or not to close this chapter in my life.
Mr. Hunter says he was told 30 years ago he wasn't the father, so he left town for 15 years. Now he's back and more confused than ever. But wait until you hear the next twist.
Who her father really is. What is your response?
I want her to find out who her father really is also.
You don't believe you are?
Well, I had doubts because her mother told me that I wasn't 30 years ago, so.
You hear your daughter speak?
Yes, Your Honor.
Express her pain?
Yes, Your Honor.
You say you and Mr. Hunter have always known that he was her biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Tucker overheard her supposed dad say he didn't believe she was his child. One second, she was excited to talk to him, and the next, he was denying her like a bad holiday surprise. And middle school made things even worse.
I was in the 5th grade, and his sister had came and got me one weekend like she always did. They were on the phone, and I was over, and I walked in, and I asked, was that him on the phone? And she said yes. She gave me the phone, and it was my first time ever talking to him. I was really excited. And that's when he told me that my mom was not being honest with me, and he knew I wasn't his daughter.
A random woman told Ms. Tucker she looked just like her real dad, Mr. Hunter. When she asked her mom, she got a quick, "That lady don't know what she's talking about."
I was in the 7th grade. Where we're from is very small, so I was at a store. There's a woman who knows them both, and she told me, she said, "You look just like your dad." And so I go, "Oh, you know my dad?" And I said his name, and she goes, "That's not your dad." That was the first I have ever heard of him. So I went home, and I did tell my mom what she said, but my mom just said she was lying.
Mr. Hunter says he was told he wasn't the father, so he just left. Years later, rumors made him second guess, and now he's confused like the rest of us.
Adrian told me she was pregnant, and she told me the child wasn't mine. She told me she was pregnant. She said the baby wasn't mine. I left and I got my life together. And I stayed gone for 15, 16 years. I came back to North Carolina hearing rumors that she was mine. So what am I supposed to do when someone tells me I'm not the father? I move on with my life.
Middle school drama at its peak. Ms. Tucker got called out of class to meet a man claiming to be her father. Spoiler, it was Mr. Hunter, and she shut him down real quick.
I was in middle school. The young woman that is like his daughter, I guess he was there to pick her up. This was the first day I ever saw him. And he told me who he was. He was my dad. That's what he said. So
what?
That's what he told me that day. Said the other man was my dad. And just so happened, my mom still said no. And then we see him. I guess he had just moved back to town.
Ms. Tucker's aunt spilled the tea in the car, revealing her mom wasn't telling the truth. Her mom sat there looking guilty while everything unraveled.
I was 23, and we were in the car with my aunt, and I just was talking about some things that I wanted to do, and my aunt made the comment to my mom that she had not been truthful to me about who my dad was, and she needed to tell me the truth. My mom, she just looked like my aunt better keep her mouth shut.
Oh.
Yeah.
Plot twist. Mr. Hunter dated Ms. Tucker's mom's sister. You can practically hear the audience gasping.
Well, I had met a young lady. Come to find out it was Adrian's sister. And I thought about that.
So you slept with her sister. Did you know this?
This has nothing to do with my sister.
When I came back to North Carolina, Adrian wouldn't to me, she wouldn't talk to me, she had nothing to do with me. That was the reason why I felt she wouldn't talk to me.
Drum roll.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hunter, you are not the father.
If you were there when my mother died at the hospital on her deathbed and she told you she wanted you to take care of us, take care of me, whatever, where did you go? Why would you just leave us there? Why did we have to grow up the way that we did? That makes no sense to me.
You just standing there, Mr. Wallace, like you don't have a piece of remorse in the world.
No, ma'am.
You don't have any issues with cheating on your wife?
No, she's not a victim.
She's not?
No.
Oh, fill us in.
She barely cooks. She doesn't clean.
Correction.
Miss Lockridge takes Mr. Tidwell to court, claiming he's not stepping up for their 10-month-old son, King. She's confident, 100% sure he's the dad, and today's DNA test will settle it. But hold on, the drama that follows, you're not ready.
Ms. Lockridge, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Tidwell, to court because he has refused to acknowledge your 10-month-old son, King. You are 100% sure he's the father and claim today's results will prove your case.
Mr. Tidwell fires back, saying Miss Lockridge doesn't actually believe he's the dad. She just wants him to be. He insists they only had an on and off casual thing for 6 years. Miss Lockridge? She's ready to clap back with some fiery responses.
I think she's more wants me to be the dad than she really believes I'm the dad. She's obsessed with me, and she's to make me feel like I'm not the father. She's left town. She's left me with the baby for weeks. She only called me when she had the baby. There was no relationship.
We were on and off for 6 years. We were together for my understanding, how he led me to believe I was single, or I was with him in a committed relationship for at least a year.
Things heat up when Miss Lockridge says she told Mr. Tidwell about the baby with an ultrasound photo and a note. His reaction? Confusion, like he'd been handed surprise homework. But trust me, the real mess hasn't even started yet.
She came over to my house. We hung out. The next day, I see a piece of paper on my bed. I grab it, I looked at it. It was a note with an ultrasound in it. I'm not sure the exact words of the note, but it said that she didn't know how to tell me this. So I called her. She didn't answer the phone. She ended up leaving me a text message saying that she was sorry and that she didn't know how to tell me that she was pregnant.
Miss Lockridge insists she wasn't seeing anyone else when King was conceived, only Mr. Tidwell. While she's all about the baby, he's looking like he just walked into a plot twist. The courtroom, nowhere near done with the fireworks.
When we conceived my child, I told him I just had my period a week ago.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
He said, shut up, and we kept going at it for
That's a lie, Your Honor.
You thought that he wanted or didn't mind if he got you pregnant.
I mean, he just got another girl pregnant 4 months prior, and I asked him, what you gonna do about it? He said, if it's mine, then I'm gonna take care of it. So next time I come over, heck yeah, I'm excited.
Enter Mr. Tidwell's mom, Miss Harrington, who accuses Miss Lockridge of being obsessed with her son. She even jokes about a prayer closet dedicated to him. Oh, and she doesn't think King looks like their family. Drama? Off the charts.
She is very obsessed with my son.
I am not in love with him.
All she talks about is how much she wants to be with him and how she's got a prayer closet at home for him. Well, you know, this is just obsession, really.
Why is it so far-fetched that he could be King's biological father?
Because there was such a long span of time in between. I don't know anything about this young lady, really.
Miss Lockridge says she left King with Mr. Tidwell while working, but he claims she vanished for 2 weeks. And what happened when she returned? Let's just say it's part comedy, part cringe.
She left for 2 weeks.
No.
When I call her
Thursday
to ask her
Tuesday.
when she's coming back, she said she'll be back when she get back. I said, well, then I'm just going to keep him to figure out if he's mine. And all. She came within an hour. She was there with a man and picked the boy up. Came in, snatched him up, left, and I didn't hear her for a week. And I'm like, where are you going? Who you with? Oh, don't worry about it. Ooh. And she just snatched him up, left most of his stuff, bottles, and just left.
Miss Lockridge whips out King's birth certificate, pointing out that Mr. Tidwell named him and gave him his last name. Her argument? He knew King was his. The tension, sky high as the DNA results approach.
The birth certificate, there's no dad's name on it. That's all I want today. And if my son's name is King Tidwell, he needs the man that named him King Tidwell to be in his life.
You didn't just pick the name King, you gave him his last name too.
But yeah, he's gonna deny my son?
From your actions.
Denying is not a problem, Your Honor. It's
From
the
your
actions
actions.
of the way she's been acting, the things she do.
You named the child.
I gave her the name that I wanted my son to have.
The results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Tidwell, you are not his father.
Are you kidding me?
Things get messy fast. Mr. Robinson and his wife claim he's not Trevorous' dad and say Ms. Grant tricked him into paying child support. Now they're suing for $124 to fix his license and $1,600 in wages.
You and your wife say you are not the father of the defendant's son, Travaris, but know who is. You claim she deceived you into believing you were the father to collect child support, and as a result of your inability to pay, your driver's license was suspended and your tax return was taken. Today, you're suing Ms. Grant for $124 for license reinstatement fees and plan to return to court in your home state to fight for $1,685.10 in garnished wages.
Ms. Grant isn't backing down. She shows the court an affidavit where Mr. Robinson said he's the dad. She says he even acted like a dad before doubting it. Mr. Robinson admits signing it but gets sketchy about his proof.
My son never went around them. Yes, Dexter did claim my child because I have proof here where he went to sign papers and everything. He had the opportunity.
What is this paperwork?
That is where he signed and say that is his child, and he states that he will pay $60 a month for his child.
This is an affidavit, an admission of paternity, which is basically an acknowledgement of paternity.
Plot twist. Ms. Grant says Trevorous isn't Mr. Ellis's kid, but Mr. Ellis told Mr. Robinson otherwise. Mr. Robinson believed he was the dad for over 20 years, but one conversation flipped everything upside down.
2 years ago when this other man approached him and told him that he was the father.
So, Mr. Robinson, at at some point after you signed this acknowledgement, someone came up to you and said, I'm Mr. Christian's father?
Yes, Your Honor.
20 years you thought Mr. Christian was your son and you were paying support?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ellis claims Mr. Robinson started the whole mess, but then it gets wild. He says Ms. Grant once called Trevorus his son, which she denies. Meanwhile, the tension rises, and Trevorus is about to weigh in.
No, that's a lie. He approached me. He came to me and he said, I heard that Martez was your son. I said, well, hey, man, hey, look, I didn't tell you to go up there and sign them papers, so that's on you. You know, I feel he is my son because of his mom approached me and said one.
And I never, Your Honor, I never.
Yes. Trevorus shares his side, saying his mom left him confused about who his dad was. He felt closer to Mr. Ellis's family, while Mr. Robinson's barely acknowledged him. Judge Lake reminds everyone about the legal affidavit, but the real shocker's coming.
Were you ever told that Mr. Ellis was your father?
I was told that it could be either of the two.
That it could be either of the two?
Yes, ma'am.
And who told you this?
My mom.
Ms. Grant, your son's saying that you honestly told him it could be either of these two men. In your prior testimony, you said you were only sleeping with Mr. Ellis way before Mr. Robinson.
I was telling the truth earlier.
The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Eddie Ellis, you are not the father.
Buckle up, because this story starts with a mind-blowing twist. Mr. Hinton says he had a fling with the twins' late mom, which led to their birth. After a tragic accident, he lost contact and spent 25 years proving he's their dad. But the twins are like, who even is this guy? Things are about to get messy, so brace yourself for the drama bomb.
Mr. Hinton, you say that a brief affair with the defendant's now deceased mother resulted in their birth. You say you lost touch with the children after a tragic accident and have spent the last 25 years trying to find them and prove you are their father.
This part feels straight out of a soap opera. Mr. Hinton claims he bumped into the twins' mom at a flea market, visited her house, and the little girl Marilyn jumped into his arms like she knew him. But Marilyn's over here saying, no, that never happened. Trust me, the chaos is only just beginning.
I was in Columbus, Ohio at a flea market. Somebody came up and tapped me on the back of my shoulder. I turned around and looked. I didn't recognize her at first. Then she looked at me like, this is Tanya. And then it clicked for me right then and there. So we did our pleasantries and we hugged. So I said, well, why don't you come over tonight? And at the time we was talking, there was kids running around the living room. I mean, just running around. Kids do.
Now it gets popcorn worthy. Marilyn remembers a guy named Mark hanging around when she was little, but she never called him dad. Mr. Hinton says, surprise, I was going by my middle name, Mark. Apparently, there was an army of Emanuels in Columbus. The reactions to this twist, priceless.
I do remember when I was a little girl and my mom let me go with a man who I called Mark. I didn't even call him dad. I didn't call him Manny. His name was Mark. He just took an interest in me and my mother just let me go with him. We would and I just remember one day that he just literally came and was like, no, this is the last time I'm going to see you. Probably about a year or so before my mother passed.
Things get crazier with a new plot twist. The court confirms Mr. Hinton's full name is Emmanuel Mark Hinton, but Marilyn insists her family said Renard was her dad. Mr. Hinton claims he was there during her childhood. If you think this is wild, hold on. It's not over.
But Ms. Waddell testified that she got picked up and spent time with a man named Mark. Your name is Emmanuel.
Right. At time in Columbus, Ohio, I don't know what it was. It was a big boom. There's a lot of males that were named Emmanuel. I knew 6 people named Emmanuel myself. So I didn't want these people to keep everybody in the whole city keep interfering with me thinking I'm this Emmanuel and I'm this Emmanuel.
Now we hit the emotional part. The twins accuse Mr. Hinton of being MIA after their mom passed, sharing how they grew up in foster care and were separated at 9. Marilyn asks, if you cared so much, why didn't you come back for us? His response, eye-roll worthy.
We're 33 years old. So if you are our father, why would you wait all of this time? Me and my twin, we grew up in foster care and we were even separated at 9 years old. Where did you go? I don't understand after 33 years why you just come in all of a sudden and you find me on Facebook, you say you were looking for me all this time. I've been in the same place.
Get ready for drama overload. Mr. Hinton says he promised their mom he'd take care of the twins, but needed time to get his life together. The twins aren't buying it, asking, where were you for 33 years? The roller coaster isn't stopping here.
He was there at my mother's death. That makes me extremely upset. If you were there when my mother died at the hospital on her deathbed and she told you she wanted you to take care of us, take care of me, whatever, where did you go? Why would you just leave us there? Why did we have to grow up the way that we did? That makes no sense to me. No excuse that he can give me on why he wasn't there, especially when he keeps insinuating that he was there when my mother passed.
This is a classic "Are you kidding me?" moment, Marilyn asks why Mr. Hinton tried to pick her up, but not her twin brother. She's like, what parent picks one kid and leaves the other? Mr. Hinton blames challenges, but the twins aren't convinced. The tension is about to explode.
Why didn't he come back to get both of us 7 months later?
7 months later?
Yeah, why would you just say, I'm coming back to get Marilyn?
Because he was not there.
Okay.
I was there. I'm not going to take one and not take the other.
I'm a single mother. I struggle, but I'm not just going to leave him or just put him in foster care, let him go over, ABC house just because I can't take him. We going to struggle together.
But there wasn't a cycle there, Yana.
This kicks off with some juicy family drama that feels straight out of a TV show. Ms. Webster overhears gossip suggesting her dad might not actually be her dad. Her cousin chimes in saying, "You're just like Mr. Ware. Same laugh, same walk." And suddenly, everyone's suspicious.
You recently learned shocking news that Myron Smith, the man you believe to be your dad and who paid child support for you, may not be your biological father. Now you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Ware, to paternity court to prove that he is your father and claim today's results will prove your case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Webster dives into her baby book, uncovering clues that only fuel her doubts. She finds notes and gifts from Mr. Ware's family, while Mr. Ware admits he dated her mom but thought she wasn't his. Now, she's on a mission to untangle the truth with some spiritual guidance.
I had a baby book for a long time, and I never really started putting things together until the blood type wasn't the same. And I'm looking in the baby book, and there's relatives of Mr. Ware's family that signed in when I was born. They bought gifts. There was an address.
Relatives of Mr. Ware,
yes, Your Honor,
have signed into your baby book when you were born.
Correct, Your Honor.
The plot thickens when Mr. Ware shows up during a church prayer session. Ms. Webster turns around and realizes this could be her dad, but it's as awkward as it is surreal. The moment feels like destiny, or maybe just a bizarre twist of fate.
We went to visit him at his church. I knew who he was, but he didn't know who I was. I just been praying, that I find out who my father is. There's things in my life. I came to the Lord. I went to the altar. They had altar call. I'm praying. And I'm nervous, but I just felt this energy. When I got up, Mr. Ware was standing right behind me. So out of all
And did you know it was Mr. Ware?
When I was down, no, I didn't know who was standing there when I got up.
Tamara Smith enters with major receipts, claiming she knows who the real dad is. She insists Ms. Webster's mom and Mr. Ware were together when Ms. Webster was conceived, clashing with her mom's denial. The drama skyrockets as Ms. Webster's mom steps in to defend her story.
My name is Tamara Smith, and I grew up in the household with Demisha's mother, Miss Webster. Mr. Ware was like a part of our family. I know what Miss Webster may have told him, that he wasn't the father, but I believe in my heart when Miss Webster left Louisville to move back to Dayton, Ohio, that she left her pregnant.
Mr. Smith, who's been paying child support for years, reveals he was out of state during the conception window. Despite signing papers without a DNA test, he wanted to do the right thing. Now, Ms. Webster's mom has to set the record straight amid mounting tension.
You have been paying child support.
Yes, I have.
But you don't believe you're her biological father.
No, I don't. Miss Webster was born September the 17th, which means that she had to be conceived either late December or January of 76 or late December of 75. I was in the United States Army, stationed in Fort Hood, Texas. Right there, she was born September the 17th. Last time I was home on leave was late November.
The mom testifies, confidently naming Mr. Smith as the dad, until it's revealed she was dating Mr. Ware too. The court hears everyone's version of events, creating a live soap opera moment. Then comes the bombshell. The DNA test results are in.
Keisha was named for my cousin Marika and Mr. Ware. His middle name and Marika's name together, and that's how she got to be.
Of course, Marsha and I, we got together to name her at the time. I do remember that.
You dated through the process. You named her together, but you were sure he was not the father?
Right.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Ware, you are not her father.
This gets messy fast. Like, grab your popcorn. Messy. Mr. Pierce accuses Ms. Koval of tricking him into thinking her baby was his. She admits she cheated, but insists Julian is his, setting the stage for a drama-packed showdown.
You are summoning your ex-fiancée, Ms. Cavell, for a paternity test to prove that her 1-year-old son, Julian, is not your son. You claim Ms. Cavell deceived you into believing you were the father, and it wasn't until Julian was 6 months old when she finally confessed she had cheated and you may not be the father.
Things explode when Mr. Pierce recalls giving Ms. Koval a chance to confess secrets, thinking they were solid. She admitted to cheating, which led to days of guilt-fueled confessions. Just when you think it's done, more chaos unfolds.
When I found out, I just had to call it off. I mean, there's no sense in really trying to go for a marriage because it's not true.
How do you feel when you hear Mr. Pierce say these things, Ms. Cavell?
It really hurts me. I know I made a mistake at one. We were both going through an emotional roller coaster at that time period. I made a mistake one time. I understand that my son looks nothing like him, but he looked to me when I was a baby.
You don't see no color in that baby.
Ms. Koval reveals she cheated after feeling unsupported during a tough time. She says it was a one-time mistake with a coworker, but Mr. Pierce doubts her. The awkward vibes skyrocket as trust hangs by a thread.
When was he born?
May 13th.
Oh, this is here. When you had that moment where you fell short and cheated?
It was in September. I don't remember the exact date. I had just lost a baby.
Early September, middle September?
It was early September.
Did you say the end of August, beginning of September?
Somewhere around.
You cheated right around here.
Mr. Pierce wants both a paternity and lie detector test, saying trust is gone. He can't believe someone he trusted betrayed him. Their future hinges on these test results, and the tension couldn't be higher.
In addition to the DNA test you request today, you're also requesting a lie detector test.
Correct, Your Honor.
We have, in fact, administered that test, and the results will be revealed shortly. You have this beautiful baby. When you look at this child, what are you thinking?
Every time I look at him, it kills me.
The paternity test results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Pierce, you are Julian's father.
Yes! From the get-go, it's chaos. Miss Reed demands a paternity test to prove Mr. Wallace isn't the father of Miss Austin's baby. Plus, she's suing Miss Austin for $5,000, blaming the affair for her financial troubles. Miss Austin fires back, denying she owes Miss Reed anything and insisting Mr. Wallace is her baby's dad. The drama is off the charts, and we're only getting started.
You are demanding that Miss Austin have a paternity test administered on her child, whom she claims was fathered by your estranged husband. You're hoping the DNA test will prove that your husband is not her baby's father. You argue that her affair has left you struggling financially as well.
Buckle up. This is where it gets messy. Miss Reed found out about Miss Austin when she answered Mr. Wallace's phone and heard, "I'm his girlfriend." Shocked, she responded, "No, I'm his fiancé and we just had a baby." Though she initially left him, she later forgave and married him. But Miss Austin's next bombshell keeps the drama rolling.
And I found out about Mrs. Austin. One day I came in from the hospital from having my second child, and Ranielle's phone rang, and I just so happened to answer the phone. Mrs. Austin, she said, "I'm Ranielle's girlfriend." I said, "Ranielle's girlfriend, did you know that Ranielle was engaged to me or whatever and just had a baby?" She said, "No." I packed my things and I left with my 2 kids at the time. I went and stayed at my aunt's house.
Miss Austin brings the heat with her unapologetic story. She claims she didn't know about the engagement and only learned of their marriage via Facebook. Instead of apologizing, she blames Miss Reed for not keeping up the house, saying that's why Mr. Wallace strayed. Her confidence is wild, but when Mr. Wallace enters, the drama hits new heights.
I found out on Facebook that Ranielle, Mrs. Reed, was married when she posted a picture up there of their marriage life. That's when I found out. And yes, I did confront Ranielle about the marriage.
So what you're saying actually is that you didn't have any regret or remorse about it because you felt like if she was handling her business, he wouldn't be over talking to you.
Mr. Wallace arrives looking more casual than concerned. He admits to cheating, fathering 3 kids with Miss Reed and possibly one with Miss Austin, citing boredom as his excuse. Judge Lake calls him out for his audacity, while Miss Reed tearfully confronts the mess he's created. Things quickly turn emotional.
You just standing there, Mr. Wallace, like you don't have a piece of remorse in the world. You don't?
No, ma'am.
You don't have any issues with cheating on your wife?
No, she's not a victim.
She's not?
No.
Oh, fill us in.
First off, she wasn't a good wife. She barely cooks, she doesn't clean.
Correction.
Miss Reed's testimony is heartbreaking. She shares how her kids feel neglected now that Miss Austin's baby is in the picture. While upset with both parties, she ultimately blames Mr. Wallace for failing their family. Her only wish? For her kids to have a present, caring father, but there's still the $5,000 lawsuit to address.
I registered for a
wanted to be his because I feel like ever since Rael had other kids on my kids get the short end of the stick. They rarely see their dad. Like when I take them to see him, I have to like leave them with him in order for them to spend time with their father. Before her child even got in the picture, Rael was there for my kids for whatever. Like watched them, gave them whatever. But now that Mrs. Austin's child is in the picture, my kids have to suffer. And I feel that it's not right.
The $5,000 lawsuit hits a wall. Judge Lake rules that Miss Austin isn't to blame for the marriage's downfall. That's all on Mr. Wallace. Miss Reed looks frustrated, but the judge calls out everyone's messy behavior, reminding them that children's lives are at stake. And now it's time for the paternity results.
We found out today through testimony and confirmation is that Mr. Wallace actually went after Ms. Austin. Now, in order for you to sue for alienation of affection, you have to prove that this young woman planned to destroy your marriage. I don't see that. It was his free will that started this affair. Are we clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
So for this reason, my judgment is for the defendant.
Here's the moment everyone's been waiting for.
In the case of Reed versus Austin, when it comes to baby Demuriel, Mr. Wallace, you are her father.
Told you, dummy. She looks just like you, dummy.
I don't like condoms, so I don't use condoms.
Exactly, and I want you to know this.
I'm allergic to latex, so I can use non-latex condoms.
Why do people keep saying they're allergic to latex but not allergic to sex?
This woman tried to trap me.
I mean, it's like sex at all. You're right. First brought out the condom, I said, is it a no-latex condom? He told me no. I said, we better off not. No, never mind, I'll just do it anyway.
We went on to the store. Well, while we was going to the store, her friend started to tell me a story. She was like, well, I just want to tell you something. She was like, well, the whole time that you was gone, she was cheating on you.
Her best friend told you
This
that?
is what her best friend told me.
And I only did it because I thought you was cheating on me.
Okay.
So you admit you cheated on him?
I did.
And so your best friend told on you?
Yeah.
Things kick off with Mr. Montgomery, who's all like, Miss Parker tricked me into thinking I was Timothy's dad. But now Miss Parker's flipping the story, saying he's not the father. So he's like, let's do a DNA test. Oh, this is about to get wild.
You say Miss Parker led you to believe that you fathered her 3-month-old son, Timothy Montgomery. You say you were present at the birth, named the baby, signed the birth certificate, but now Miss Parker says you're not the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Montgomery is here pouring his heart out like it's some kind of romance movie, insisting he's Timothy's dad. Timothy is his son, and he's not ready to let this go. But just wait until Miss Parker drops her side of the story.
I believe I'm the father because, I loved her. Me and her were together. We were sexually active. Without a shadow of a doubt, I just believe, firmly that this is my son. I was there, through the pregnancy and signed the birth certificate. And what the funny part is,
because
she
I thought
allowed
he
me
was
to name the
your
son after my deceased father.
Miss Parker's story just took a hard left turn as she admits there's another possible dad in the mix. This love triangle just turned into a math problem.
I thought he was the father.
You did?
Yeah, because he looked just like Mark in the ultrasounds.
So during the ultrasounds, you felt like they resembled?
Yeah, they looked just like him, and I believed that he was the father.
Miss Parker's dropping bombshells, admitting she was with both guys at the same time, making paternity a big guessing game. And Miss Parker doesn't seem like she's done spilling the tea.
I had sex with both of them around the same time and the same day.
You're talking about one of these 3D ultrasounds? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I had one of those, and I know what you're saying when you look at baby and you pick out features and you say, oh, I think he kind of resembles, but there's no way if you were sleeping with another man during the window of conception.
Mr. Montgomery went all out, basically moving mountains to be with Miss Parker, and the crowd can't believe it. You've got to feel for the guy. This is just the beginning.
I left everything I knew in Cleveland, my family. I had a good paying job that I had, and, left my family, my friends, everything I ever knew behind so I can go down there and be the best father and family man that I could possibly be for her, her kids, and my son.
Yeah.
Miss Parker, meanwhile, says she was kind of fed up with Mr. Lanou, always ignoring her for his Xbox, so she found herself looking for attention. Everyone in the courtroom is shaking their heads by now, wondering where this will lead next.
So, talk to me about how you were in a relationship with 2 different men.
I was with Mark. He was always on Xbox. He wouldn't even have sex with me during the whole pregnancy because he felt weird.
First met, it wasn't even like that. He wasn't even in the picture.
You are
He done left.
He pried on my girlfriend when I was
one
with
at a
her.
time.
Now, Mr. Lanou and Mr. Montgomery are throwing shade about who's really supporting the baby financially, and it's messy. The competition between these two just keeps getting more intense.
I have a job.
Where's all this money going?
It's going to him.
No, it's
going
not.
to
I have
him.
not once
Trust and
got
believe,
it.
my son will have what he needs.
Putting diapers on
yeah,
his
because
ass, buying
you snuck
formula,
behind
buying
my
clothes.
back and you bit on my girl, homie.
Before you got pregnant, you ended up with Mr. Lanou, right?
The first time he had left, throughout the whole time,
He had
even
broke up
told
with
him
me.
that we were sleeping together after he came back.
Mr. Montgomery's really been holding back here, but he finally admits he kind of suspected Miss Parker was seeing Mr. Lanou on the side. The truth is creeping closer and closer.
Before Timothy was born, no, I had my suspicions, but I never had, concrete evidence that they was actually sleeping around.
Clearly, Miss Parker, you're sleeping with both men.
Yeah.
At a certain point. You end up in the hospital having your baby. How is it that Mr. Montgomery ends up in the hospital with you?
I didn't know it was a possibility that Lanou would have been the father of Timothy.
Get your tissues, because Mr. Montgomery is reliving the happiest moment of his life, and he held Timothy at birth. But Miss Parker's about to come in with some ice-cold reality.
Sitting there, I'm holding him for the first time, I bring him to, her face, so she can see him because she had a C-section. I'm sitting there crying. I even told myself that, when he was born, I was like, I'm not gonna cry. Was I nervous? No, I was excited because the simple fact of the matter, I was told that I was gonna be and unlike most men, I was damn proud to hear that I was gonna be a father.
Miss Parker confesses that she waited weeks after Timothy's birth to tell Mr. Montgomery that he might not be the dad, and his reaction says it all. Mr. Lanou is waiting to share his own side of the story, and it's about to get even messier.
I told him in the
3 weeks after he was born.
But this is because during that time, Your Honor, that he had threatened to Timothy.
Your Honor, she
without her knowledge,
in the bed.
take him to Cleveland.
First time she was able to have sex after the baby was born, she waited until after we were done to sit. I don't think you're the father. I think, Luke's the father. And I'm still laying in the bed with this woman naked.
Mr. Lanou explains how he stayed cool and didn't go to the hospital, even though he knew there'd be a fight if he did. But Timothy's paternity still isn't set in stone, and the drama's not over.
No. I actually was going to show up to the hospital, but I was for her and that unborn child refused to because I know that it would have caused a disturbance between me and him.
You knew
I didn't have
that you had been sleeping with her.
A man always has.
Did you know there was a distinct possibility that you could be this child's
Your Honor,
father?
and I even
I told him it wasn't because I didn't want to believe it.
Miss Parker shocks everyone, admitting she was cheating on Mr. Lanou left and right while they were together, which makes this all feel like a soap opera. But with the DNA results coming up, they're about to get some real answers.
What other fact do you have that support your belief that this child is Mr. Lanou's?
It's just I cheated the whole time I was with Mark. And
but I cheated.
You did cheat.
Okay.
It's also
I
the
did
fact that
cheat
he's
because
tried
you cheated on
conceiving
me.
children, 2 other women who, until he left, could not conceive a child.
The results come out and hit like a sledgehammer.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Montgomery, you are not the father.
Wow, this story kicks off wild right from the start. Miss Herman is in court to prove that Mr. Houston is the father of her son Corey. But get ready, this tale is only just beginning.
Miss Herman, you are here to prove that Mr. Houston is the biological father of your 2-year-old son Corey. You contend the defendant duped you and was living a double life. Mr. Houston, you claim that you are not the biological father of Miss Herman's son and will clear your name when the results are read.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, bam! Miss Herman explains how she found out Mr. Houston was married while she was already pregnant. With her detective skills in full gear, Miss Herman is about to make this courtroom a whole lot more interesting.
I like to call this the investigadget stage. That's what I do. So during the time I was pregnant, I had told Mr. Houston that I was pregnant. He said that he would be there for me and my child. After 2 doctor's appointments, he stopped showing up. So I got a little suspicious. Got my investigation glasses on, and I found out via Facebook that he has a wife and children.
Mr. Houston really doubles down, saying he had no reason to tell her he was married. Like that little fact didn't matter. The judge is already over this eyebrow drama, but trust me, there's way more eyebrow-raising stuff to come.
Anything I got going on before I met her wasn't her business. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't curious about the extra stuff. I was more curious about getting to know who she was.
So your marriage and your kids and your wife were all extra things?
No, it wasn't extra at all. It was just something that I didn't communicate with her.
This part is downright awkward as Mr. Houston tries to dodge the question about using protection. But things are about to get a whole lot stickier as Mr. Houston tries to explain himself.
But you didn't use protection when you were sleeping with her.
You did not.
Did you tell
not? Don't lie. He did not use a condom, Your Honor. He did not.
Your Honor.
No, the answer is no. Don't let him lie to you. The answer is no. No.
The night that,
no.
Mr. Houston's version of their meeting is so casual, it sounds like he's describing grabbing lunch. He claims he was just interested in getting to know her, not aiming for anything serious, like, oh, having a kid. Miss Herman's expression says it all. She's about to spill more details he forgot to mention.
I had a homie that just got married. You know, we were celebrating his marriage, you know. I met her. She seemed like she was out of her comfort zone, you know. She wasn't supposed to be there, you know what I mean? So I approached her. I said, hey, how you doing? You know, we started communicating. She told me her name. I let her know who I was.
He did, Your Honor. Don't let him lie to you. When he do that thing with his eyebrows, he's lying.
And when Miss Herman reveals they were together for a month and a half, the drama level in the room doubles. And just when you think it couldn't get messier, in steps Mr. Houston's wife with her own version of the story.
About a month and a half, when I found out I was pregnant, told Cortez that I was pregnant, and he didn't say anything on the other line of that phone. He said, are you for real? I said, yes, I'm for real. Then he promised that he would be there throughout the whole pregnancy, not just 2 doctors.
At what point do you discover that he has a wife? Are you already pregnant?
Yes.
Here comes Mrs. Houston, and she's not here to play nice. But hang on, because these two women have even more to say, and Mr. Houston's day is about to go downhill fast.
How did you find out about Miss Herman?
The way I discovered, you know, they were doing whatever was a message came in his phone. When I have the baby, I want to move in with you. I'm looking like, who the hell is this? And what is she talking about? So somebody is trying to get answers, and he like playing dumb, you know, wouldn't tell me the truth about it. So eventually I end up calling the number and I talked to her.
The drama goes off the charts as Mrs. Houston tells everyone she and Miss Herman were pregnant at the same time. But Mr. Houston's about to pull out a deep reason for his actions that'll leave you scratching your head.
You know, he said he's going to be there for me and blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, so you're pregnant. I'm pregnant too. So how does that work? Like,
see, I'm in the business of making babies, you know. I have every reason to extend my bloodline. Let me let you know, you know.
And now, Mr. Houston gives a reason for his actions that's as surprising as it is confusing. The judge isn't having it and tells him making babies isn't the way to heal his loss. But don't worry, Mr. Houston isn't done with his wild excuses just yet.
Exactly. And you thought by making more children,
I'll be connected with my father.
You will be connecting with your father. At the end of the day, you do have to understand that when you bring children into the world with paternity questions, that's not being a superhero. That's not being the kind of father you say you lost.
Mr. Houston's next excuse is one for the history books, claiming he skipped the condom because he's allergic to latex. The judge looks ready to scream as she tries to get him to own up to his choices.
I don't like condoms, so I don't use condoms.
Exactly, and I want you to know this.
I'm allergic to latex, so I can use non-latex condoms.
Why do people keep saying they're allergic to latex but not allergic to sex?
This woman tried to trap me.
I mean, it's like sex at all. You're right. First brought out the condom, I said, is it a no-latex condom? He told me no. I said, we better off not. No, never mind, I'll just do it anyway.
And then things heat up even more as Miss Herman accuses Mr. Houston of barely being in Corey's life. Finally, it's time for the DNA results that could blow everything up.
Miss Herman, Mr. Houston testified that he wants to be a dad. Has he been a dad to Corey?
No, he doesn't do anything for Corey at all.
This woman's full of lies today. I don't know why.
Can you show you a receipt?
I made sure that I had his first pair of shoes. I got him some booties. I did everything that I was supposed to do as far as making sure he had car seats. I did all those things.
This moment right here, it's the jaw dropper everyone was waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Houston, you are not the father.
Yes. Thank you, Jesus. I ain't gotta talk to this man not no more.
Oh, here we go. Things get intense right away. Mr. Razor and Mr. Hunt, who are siblings, decide to sue their parents for a paternity test. But there's way more to this story. Just wait till you hear about the argument that got this whole dad comment loud and clear, and he was left totally mind blown. Things are only getting messier from here as the family drama keeps unfolding.
Yes, I did, Your Honor, but I don't believe my children heard the whole comment.
Emotions are all over the place as Ms. Razor steps up situations to big life moments. Hold tight, because Ms. Ham is about to get grilled for answers next.
I'm 26 years old, okay? This is the only man that I know. How many men do you know sit in a delivery room with their daughter when they're having a baby, okay? For you to make that statement and for him to... Is there something that you need to tell me? Maybe.
Just when you think this family drama is as complicated as it gets, Ms. Ham drops a new bomb. She doesn't actually know who Precious, aka Uncle Tommy, joins in remotely and admits he had a relationship with Ms. Ham back in the day, leaving the siblings even more bewildered. The drama is thick in the air as they all hold their breath, waiting for the DNA test results.
That's just nasty. Wow. That is not my father. father.
Ms. Ham casually confirms that, yeah, she and Mr. Farmer were involved 26 years ago, which means he could totally be Precious's dad. But Precious is holding back tears as she reveals how desperately she needs the truth about who her dad is, especially since she's getting married soon. And here we are, with the results about to come out. And you know things are going to hit hard.
These are my children, and I'm gonna...
Whoa, this is a wild start. Mr. Haynes drags Miss Manning into court, claiming he's definitely the dad of her daughter Zoe, even though Miss Manning now says, nope, you're not. And just when you think it can't get crazier, they toss even more surprising facts at each other.
Mr. Haynes, you have brought Ms. Manning court today to prove that you are the father of her 4-year-old daughter, Zoe. You say Ms. Manning initially told you that you were Zoe's dad, but now is claiming you are not her father.
It's only getting more confusing here, folks. Miss Manning explains her timeline, claiming that Zoe was conceived after she and Mr. Haynes had already called it quits. Just wait, things are about to get even more. What?
Miss Manning sent me a picture. I thought it was my son at first. It was actually Zoe. Took a picture of my son and I compared it, and that's when she was my child.
And why do you feel you know that for certain?
Zoe was conceived at the end of October and we had already broken up.
It's like watching a ping pong match of parent confusion here. Mr. Haynes remembers Miss Manning saying he was the father, then changing her mind over and over again. And you won't believe the next set of wild mixed messages.
She said I was the father multiple times. Then she also told me I wasn't the father multiple times. So first met when I was getting a tattoo, and it was at residence, and we only dated for a short period of time until she ended the relationship. So I ended up moving on, got with my ex now, my son's mom.
This back and forth is exhausting, even for the judge, but after 4 years of mixed signals, both of them are at their wits' end. And get ready, because another possible dad just popped into the mix.
I had a baby, and it's a possibility she's yours.
And so he said, send me a picture, and that's what you sent. And once he acknowledged that, yes, I believe this is my daughter, what did you say?
I've never told him he was the father, and I've never told him he wasn't the father. It's always been, there's a possibility. And the fact that he's waited 4 years to take a paternity test is what irritates me.
The confusion just keeps snowballing here. When asked if he's been part of Zoe's life, Mr. Haynes says he's tried, but Miss Manning only allowed him to be a friend of the family for Zoe's sake. And now, Mr. Haynes brings a timeline to show he's been trying all along.
Have you tried to be a father at all to Zoe, Mr. Haynes? Have you been a part of her life? She's 4.
I have tried to reach out to her. I have talked to her once, and when I did talk to her, Miss Manning told me not to mention that I was the father. She just told me to keep, I'm a family friend of the family, so.
Keeping up with this timeline is like trying to follow spaghetti noodles. It's all over the place. The judge points out the endless cycle of yes, no, maybe, and everyone's left dizzy. And if you thought it was done, hold on, because Miss Manning's got something to say next.
You submitted a timeline to the court.
March of 2014 is when I received the photo, Zoe, but like I told you guys just previous that I thought it was my son. Then I found out it wasn't.
And you felt like she sent you the picture because she was your child.
Yes.
So you're thinking you are the father.
Yes. Things get even juicier with the next witness. Mr. Haynes' girlfriend, Ms. Wickwire, his current girlfriend, steps up and backs up Mr. Haynes, saying Miss Manning has repeatedly changed her mind on who the dad is. This story keeps twisting like a soap opera.
First off,
what testimony do you have?
We've been together for 2.5 years. She has repeatedly sent him messages saying that he is the father and isn't the father. She's dragging him through hell, pretty much. When he is the father, he's happy and wants to
I don't
actually try and
understand
take...
how I'm dragging him through hell when it's been, there's a possibility, let's get a DNA test.
Now the judge is practically begging for Miss Manning to let Mr. Haynes have a chance with Zoe. The stakes are sky high, and everyone's waiting to see how this ends.
So have you encouraged a relationship between Mr. Haynes and Zoe?
No.
And why is that?
I would rather have proof that he is her father instead of them building a relationship and him not being the father.
You really believe it's the man that's on the birth certificate, already acknowledged paternity, but has allowed you to have full custody and doesn't really want to be part of raising her?
Yes.
This is a roller coaster of emotion as both parties share their hopes. Both clearly want the best for Zoe, and it's tough to watch them struggle. We're on the edge here. The final DNA answer is coming.
Do you hope Mr. Haynes is her biological father?
Yes.
So even though your gut says to you, do not think he's the father, what are your hopes, Mr. Haynes?
I just want to find out the truth because it's been almost 4 years of going back and forth that I'm the father. So I just want the proof.
And you want to be her father?
Yes.
It's DNA time, and the result is a jaw dropper.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Haynes, you are not father.
Whoa, this case got messy real fast. Mr. Lester's like, nope, not mine. You had other guys around then. Things already look dicey, and we're just getting started.
Mr. Lester, you say that you and Ms. Moyet were never in a relationship and that she had multiple sex partners during her time of conception, so you are 100% certain that you are not father of baby Nyla.
You won't believe the pettiness in this part. Miss Moyet says Mr. Lester's support so far includes a few diapers and one onesie for a boy. But trust me, these two are just getting warmed up.
Mr. Lester has hardly been involved in Nyla's life. Besides the fact of 3 cases of diapers, a onesie that he bought for her, which was a boy outfit. Other than that, me and my mother have been providing food, milk, and everything and things like that. I also have evidence here showing you food, cribs,
Let me
everything.
see that evidence.
And things took a weird turn when Miss Moyet shared how she planned this pregnancy by showing up at Mr. Lester's house on her special day. The drama was thick in the air, and it was only about to get thicker.
I actually planned this pregnancy. I went over to his house the day I was ovulating, and I let him know I'm ovulating. I want to have a baby. We did nothing.
That is not true.
Yeah, we did nothing to prevent Nyla. To make matters even worse, since I've had Nyla,
The tension really hit high gear as the judge dug into their relationship timeline. The judge tells them both that not using protection isn't exactly smart, and oh boy, we can feel where this is going.
What she's saying is you were having unprotected sex with her then, and even since this child's birth, you're still having unprotected sex with her, that you are a possible father.
I understand that, Your Honor.
So do you agree that you had with her during the time when Nyla was conceived?
Yes, I did.
The cringe level spikes when Mr. Lester starts listing all the reasons he thinks he's not the dad. But let's be real, this was barely making his case stronger.
My first doubt, when I first met Miss Moyet, she told me her name was Mia. Come to find out her name was Iris. I left her name in my contents as Mia because she was always missing in action. She told me out of her own mouth she had a boyfriend. She didn't appreciate that I wasn't spending time with her, and that's better than me. And I asked her, well, why you calling me tonight?
The courtroom vibes hit awkward as Mr. Lester claims they always use protection. Miss Moyet fires back, no, we didn't. She looks at the judge like, why would I lie about this? The judge just sighs, clearly over their back and forth, as things start getting even more confusing.
we always had protected sex.
We had protected sex, Your Honor.
Mr. and I have never had protected sex.
Only I know how old I am, and I know what sex leads to. And I just want to point out to you the percentages having babies and how it declines.
Some more research.
Yes.
This part's where Judge Lake hits us with some real talk, and it's actually kind of sweet. It's like she's giving life advice while still knee-deep in all this drama.
Do you hear what he's saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
I know when you say you had the love of an older man, it was filling a void you felt for not having the love of your father. You were saying that. Regardless of what this result is today, I don't want you running around behind him. Do you understand me?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're better than that, and you deserve more than that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right?
The big moment everyone's been waiting for is here.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lester, you are Nyla's father.
Yes! Yes!
Ma'am.
Didn't I tell you?
You need to be respectful.
Didn't I tell you?
Oh boy, buckle up because this case starts wild and only gets crazier. With that opening, things are about to get heated and totally messy.
Mr. Dark, you say the defendant is a promiscuous liar who broke your heart 4 years ago, stepping out on your then relationship. You admit to having a one-night stand with her 2 years ago, but are furious Ms. Bailey is now claiming you fathered her 11-month-old son, which you say is impossible.
This backstory is like the soap opera you never asked for. You just know that's going to come back around and bite someone later.
We was in a relationship for about 4 years. Everything was okay. Everything was pretty good when I first met her. Some good conversations about establishing us a family and probably having kids. We lived together at that time. I left to go out of town to do some work. Went to Florida to do some work in Florida. While I was going to Florida to do some work, I talked to Ms. Bailey about almost every day.
Get ready, because here comes the I cheated, because you cheated circus act. And trust me, that's not even the half of it. Things are just warming up.
We went on to the store. Well, while we was going to the store, her friend started to tell me a story. She was like, well, I just want to tell you something. She was like, well, the whole time that you was gone, she was cheating on you.
Her best friend told you
This
that?
is what her best friend told me.
And I only did it because I thought you was cheating on me.
Okay.
So you admit you cheated on him?
I did.
And so your best friend told on you?
Yeah.
This is where it all starts getting wilder, with Mr. Dark basically saying, wait, do the math. Suddenly, we've got more questions than answers, and Mr. Dark's math skills are being put to the test big time.
With the calculation and the date she's using, Mr. Dark, you're saying this would only been 8 months.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you believe she was already pregnant when you
Yes,
all
ma'am.
were intimate in March.
She had to be already pregnant. And so I guess I was just a crutch.
Whatever.
From the beginning, I was there at the hospital when Jameer was born, even with my doubt, because in the back of my mind, I didn't never want to feel like, okay, he really was my son and I didn't do the things that I was supposed to do as a father.
The birth certificate story is a doozy because Mr. Dark says he only signed it because Ms. Bailey pressured him big time. He's now totally regretting that decision, and we're all wondering what this could mean when the DNA results come in.
And the reason why I signed the birth certificate, to answer your question, is because you told me at the hospital that if I didn't sign it right then I wouldn't have another opportunity to sign it. That's what you told me right there at the hospital.
I didn't force you to sign it. You
If
signed
I
it on your
didn't
own.
sign it, what was gonna happen? He won't have your last name. You won't get to sign it. Did you not say that? You know you said
I did
that.
not tell you that. No, I said, okay, if you don't sign it, okay, that's on you.
If you thought this was a one-time drama, think again. Ms. Bailey's got a history. Now he's wondering if this is a repeat performance, and everyone in the courtroom is starting to question what's really going on here.
Ms. Bailey, have you been in a paternity situation before?
I have, with my ex.
So one of your other children, there was a paternity question surrounding that.
Yes, that he wasn't.
The biological father. Do you know who your child's biological father?
Yes, I do.
History is repeating itself in this moment for you.
Oh, and just when you thought this couldn't get any messier, here comes Mr. Dark's current girlfriend with her own opinions. Now, we've got love triangles, timelines, and all sorts of drama flying around the courtroom, just like a daytime TV show.
First, in my personal opinion, I don't feel like the baby looks like him.
So you do not feel like there is a physical resemblance?
No. Well, my due date is November 19th. My conception date is February 24th.
And we're now 1 year later, but what you're saying is that you have a similar due date.
Even though he's got doubts, Mr. Dark says he's been there for Jameer anyway, taking him to family gatherings and giving him some dad time. But even with all this family drama, he's trying to be a responsible guy, and the big DNA test is just around the corner.
Jameer is 11 months old. What has been your relationship?
I was in Jameer's life. I've been a part of his life. I've kept him. I took him to Alabama with me when I went to my granny's funeral last month. And my whole family said that that's not your child.
So when Jameer with you to your family member's funeral.
Yes, ma'am. The judge doesn't mince words here, laying down some tough truths about legal responsibility. It's a serious moment, and you can see Mr. Dark wondering if he should have brought a calculator to figure this all out sooner.
But Judge, I just it's so much she say I don't want to do for him. I bought him probably like about 15 ones when he first was born and some
Did not
stuff.
buy him nothing.
And I took him to her or whatever, but
It was
because of the
clothes
fact
that was already worn for someone
because
else.
of the fact had gave me these things or whatever,
Okay,
but
so
it
why
was
would you
because
say you something
her
you
baby
never
never
bought
won.
that
They
thing?
were
Well, let me be clear.
It's finally time for the big reveal, and let's just say does not disappoint. The DNA results come in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Dark, you are the father.
This past Father's Day, Memphis, Tennessee saw it in them to award me with Community Father of the Year award. The mayor was there and state representatives was there. So Caden will not fall short on a daddy or a father when it comes down to that.
That is great to hear.
Get ready for some real-life drama that feels like a movie. Judge Lake kicks off Lee v. Lee, where Mr. Lee accuses his wife, Miss Lee, of cheating multiple times and now questions if he's really the dad of their 11-month-old daughter. But if you think this sounds intense already, just wait. Miss Lee's backstory is next, and it's got some wild surprises.
Mr. Lee, you say your wife, Ms. Lee, conceived a child after cheating numerous times during your marriage. Now, you claim your family disowned you because of her infidelity, and now your marriage is on the brink of divorce. You petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that you are not father of Ms. Lee's 11-month-old daughter, Carolyn Lee.
You won't believe how their love story starts, like a mix of romance and reality TV. Miss Lee says they met at a hotel party and felt instant sparks, totally falling for each other right away. Sounds sweet, right? Well, things take a left turn as soon as a Bon Jovi lookalike enters the picture.
I was actually getting ready to go on a date with somebody, and I got a phone call from a friend of mine to come to this hotel party to meet somebody else that actually wasn't even Mr. Lee. And I get there and our eyes met, started talking that night. I heard him speaking a little bit of Spanish and we started making out the whole night. We kissed heavily. The next morning, we exchanged numbers that night as well because we made out the whole night, didn't even remember each other's names.
So, just 1 week after this love at first sight moment, things get, interesting. But believe it or not, this Bon Jovi moment was just the beginning. Soon, Mr. Lee's whole family gets involved in the chaos.
She stayed there with me for a few days, and then, like, the following week, she started cheating on me with a guy she claimed that looked like Bon Jovi. She has...
The following week?
Yeah, well, she said he looked like Bon Jovi. I said he looks more like the Wolfman.
I have a celebrity
week
obsession.
later?
Yes, I have a celebrity obsession in this guy he looked like Bon Jovi. He's just jealous.
Just when you think things can't get crazier, they totally do. Mr. Lee's family can't believe he's still with her, so they end up disowning him for choosing her over them. And then, just when things seem complicated enough, the couple finds out they're going to have a baby.
I got a little pissed off because, I mean, at the time, you know, my family disowned me. I had no friends.
Why did
She
your
was a
family
coworker.
disown you?
Because she cheated on me and I chose her over them, and they didn't like that.
Her anymore?
Yes, and I didn't do what they wanted, so they threw me out.
Just because you went back to somebody, they threw you out?
It's messed up, I know, but...
He was spending
All right.
alcohol.
If you thought pregnancy would calm things down, think again. It just makes things even messier. He's torn between his love for her and the nagging question in his mind. Is this baby even his? But don't think he's ready to give up yet.
When you find out she's pregnant, do you believe the child is yours?
Yeah, at first, she's my wife. Wouldn't, I mean, if you were in my shoes, wouldn't you believe that?
I don't know.
I mean... Yeah, I get it.
I'm not going to sit up
get it.
here and lie.
I mean, she
I don't know.
cheated on me before, but I figured why not stick around?
Things had gotten a little better.
Yeah, things
So
had
you
gotten
felt
better.
like trust.
I felt like I could trust her. I felt like that this was my kid.
At this point, you've got to wonder how Mr. Lee has stayed so committed. It's clear he's been through a lot and has high hopes, but this test is going to be the real game changer.
I do love her. I mean, I realize people have problems. People do things that they're not proud of. I mean, who among us has not?
Now you stand here after saying you love her and you don't leave her, but now you're saying you're going to divorce her.
The love's still there. We just, if baby's
We're
not
going
his,
through
we
the
can't
motions.
Stay together.
We've decided that the baby isn't mine. We're just not going to stay together.
This part is like a soap opera. Mr. Lee talks about being there when Carolyn was born and signing her birth certificate, saying he's been trying to be a father and a husband through it all. You can feel the tension, as he says he doesn't want to live a lie, but it's only going to get more emotional when Miss Lee's mom steps in.
Take your time.
I was there when she was born. I signed the birth certificate, everything.
So you signed the birth certificate.
I just don't want to live a lie. I want to know if this is my daughter or not.
If he is not Carolyn's biological father, do you know who is?
No, Your Honor.
If things weren't complicated enough, Miss Lee's mom joins in with her own twist on the story. But hey, no one knows for sure yet, and the truth is still to come.
She never saw really any happiness in my household. I feel bad for that. I was not a great mother to her, but she got kind of taken by my mother and my stepfather. They had her most of the time. But she did not see good things going on in the household. She saw a lot of fighting, and so she got into the dishonesty herself, lived what she saw.
Here it is, the big moment that's been building up this whole time. Judge Lake reads the DNA results, and
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are Carolyn's father.
I told you. I told you.
Mr. Miles shows up in court claiming he's the father of his 37-year-old daughter, Christine, who he hasn't seen in over 2 decades. Just wait until Christine hits him with her first question.
Mr. Miles, you are in court today to prove to your 37-year-old daughter, Christine, that you are her father. You admit you initially denied paternity when she was a baby, but are here to right your wrong. But she now wants to prove you are not her biological father.
Things get messier than a bowl of spaghetti when Christine lays out her doubts. He says he's trying to make things right now, but Christine's not letting him off that easy. Next up, he tries to explain what happened way back when.
I don't believe you're my father. My mom says you are not my father. You've been absent for 37 years. Why? Why now?
Your mom said that I was your father. Why she changed her story, I have no idea. But that's not the truth. And why now I had the opportunity to be able to look for you because I wanted to see who you are and who your family was.
If this backstory had a theme song, it would definitely be a country breakup song. He only found out he owed child support much later, which leads Christine to question where he's been all these years. Spoiler alert, he's got more excuses.
I didn't know about the child support at that time. I was just named as a father.
You were named the legal father. Then makes you responsible for child support. You're just out there, you're dating a young woman, you love her, you all get together, then you break up. You were never informed. When she found out she was pregnant, she never called you to say, I'm pregnant.
No, Judge.
Now Christine starts sharing her side, and it's honestly a tough listen. Just when you think the emotions can't get any heavier, Christine reveals a twist about those child support payments.
I was really bad as a student. I got in a lot of trouble. I went to foster care 4 years. I went through lots of therapy to forget all this, and I'm back today.
But you're strong, and you're not alone, because we're here with you.
Thank you.
And so this was very difficult for you.
Very difficult.
And here comes the plot twist no one saw coming. Surprise, Mr. Miles owes a mountain of child support. He says he got the shock of his life when he found out he owed $28,000 in back payments, right there on his tax return. Next up, she spills about the one time she actually met Mr. Miles.
In 1992, we filed our taxes. Taxes came back, and there's a letter, $28,000 in back child support. And that just shocked me. Like I said, I just didn't have a clue that was even there.
And you didn't try to find out then?
I did.
What did you do to try to find her, Mr. Miles?
Back then, there was no internet, no cell phones. All you had was people that you knew and telephone lines.
Imagine meeting your maybe dad for one night, and then crickets. Mr. Miles remembers it differently, saying he thought he invited her to live with him, but clearly they're not on the same page. And just when it seems like things might calm down, the judge brings out a bombshell from Christine's mom.
Well, I met Mr. Miles one time when I was 16. He came to my grandparents' house. My grandparents actually let me go stay the night with him and his wife. I was never told about them until that very day.
I thought we did, hit it off pretty good. I think I asked her if she wanted to come live with us, if that was something that was going to be
willing to take her in as ours.
Right when you think you've heard it all, Christine's mom drops a statement that changes everything. Mr. Miles doesn't seem to care, though. He's convinced they have a bond. Just wait till you hear what Christine says about reconnecting with him now.
Because when we were in the court, she said I was the father. So after that, I assumed she would tell her that I was the father because that's what happened in court.
Why would she name her after his mother? Why would she go after him for child support?
He said he wanted to play dad.
Yeah, I wasn't even with her then.
That's what she
He was
said.
never with her.
Yeah.
He is still yet to contact her mother since that.
Here's the moment everyone's been waiting for, and it's like the air gets sucked out of the room. The judge reads the DNA results, and the truth is,
it has been determined by this court. Mr. Miles, you are not the father.
buckle up, everyone. This one's gonna be wild. Miss Collins is here to prove that Mr. Stone is her daughter, Tamara's dad, saying he bailed when he heard she was pregnant. Things are already heating up, and we're just getting started.
Miss Collins, you have dragged the defendant to court to prove he is the biological father of your 4-year-old daughter, Samara. You say one day of bliss became a lifetime of hell when Mr. Stone up and disappeared when you revealed to him you were pregnant.
Miss Collins spills the tea on how she met Mr. This is where the plot twist kicks in. Now she's pregnant, and she's got to let Mr. Stone know he might be the dad.
Me and Mr. Stone met on a dating site. I seen his profile. I thought he was kind of handsome, and obviously he thought I was cute as well because he messaged me back. So we had a few conversations until one day we decided that we will meet up. We were drinking. Well, why don't you just stay the night? You know, you've been drinking anyway. Why don't you just, crash here? So later on that night, one thing led to another, and we had sex.
Miss Collins remembers calling up Mr. Stone, all like, hey, I'm pregnant, and this could be yours. This mix-up only makes the whole situation messier, and they're both sticking to their stories.
I went to a doctor. This was at, I think, the beginning of June. The doctor told me I was about a month long. So I'm like, okay. So after that, I give Mr. Stone a call. I let him know. I said, hey, I'm pregnant, and there's a possibility that you might be the father.
She never said possibility.
Yes, I did. I told him I was pregnant, and it might be a possibility that the baby would be his.
Miss Collins says she tried to stay in contact, but Mr. Stone up and moved to Arizona and went off the grid. They both look at each other like, seriously? The mystery of who ghosted who is on, and now everyone's got questions.
Man, so she gave me the call. I was in Arizona. She's like, well, the person I thought that was the father of the baby is not. And then she said, the other person that might have been a possibility to be the father also is not.
2 additional people besides you.
Besides me.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Mr. Stone shows up with evidence saying he tried to do DNA tests several times, and guess who didn't show? Miss Collins says she either didn't know or had stuff going on. And now Mr. Stone's got trust issues. It's a classic game of he said, she said, and at this point, they're still pointing fingers.
I get a phone call from the court where she lives at. We show up, can't do the test for whatever reason. They say that they'll be in touch. Well, I go back a second time. I drove all the way up there. Guess who didn't show? Miss Collins did not show. She suggested that we do a at-home DNA test. So I was like, I don't really trust that. I don't know if that's not a doctor, but she said, I'll pay for it. I said, okay.
Miss Collins throws in a curveball. Her daughter Kimara has hypoglycemia, which she claims runs in Mr. Stone's family. The health stuff is only adding to the chaos here, and both are still looking for answers.
A few years back, my daughter, she got sick. Come to find out she's hypoglycemic. Now, that does not run on my side of the family. So what I do, I'll give Mr. Stone a phone call, and he says, yes, I do believe that do run in my family.
Anybody could have hypoglycemia. I'm not the only person on this earth. I'm sure there's a whole lot of us. It doesn't run in my family. Maybe the other guy runs in his family. I don't know.
Dr. Brown Parks swoops in to clear things up on hypoglycemia, saying it could actually be genetic. The doc gives her medical opinion, and everyone's waiting on the DNA test to see who's got it right.
So first off, hypoglycemia is simply low blood sugar. It can happen for a variety of reasons. There's a level at which we just have chosen that below 50 milligrams per deciliter when they take your blood. Most common cause is from people who are diabetic or hyperglycemic. It drops their blood sugar too low. It is indeed.
Judge Lake finally opens the DNA envelope, and surprise!
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Stone, you are the father.
Right from the start, the drama is real, and you can just feel that this one's gonna be intense. Let's just say he's got a lot of doubts, and he's ready to get some answers. Mr. Zaire, buckle up, because they just did. Ms. Nadeau gets a major reality check as she recalls the shock of learning her first child was actually fathered by Mr. Zara's best friend. The audience gasped hanging out, though he admits it wasn't exactly steamy. So yeah, the witness doesn't exactly have the smoking gun, but he's dead. Here comes Mr. McCaffrey, and he's not shy about spilling the details. Crowd's in shock, and it's clear this love triangle, or square, is getting harder and harder to keep track of.
You hear this testimony?
Yes.
You admit you were intimate with Ms. Nadeau?
Yes.
If you don't let him testify for himself?
Just when you thought you'd heard it all, Judge Lake pulls up the weather report. With snow confirmed, everyone's looking back to the real. Here it is, the big moment everyone's been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court that her father is Mr. Zara.
You want to tell everybody how sorry you are?
This is one crazy situation right off the bat. Ms. McGowan tells the court how, just after her husband passed away, she met Mr. Martin online. But get ready, because this story only gets messier.
Ms. McGowan, you say after the death of your husband, you were trying to find your way, but ended up finding a man on the internet, had sex with him, and 2 weeks later, you discovered that you're pregnant. Now you claim the defendant, Mr. Martin, is without a doubt the biological father of your 8-month-old baby, Caden.
And just like that, Mr. Martin fires back with some seriously shady doubts. Wait till you hear why he thinks he's off the hook.
Mr. Martin, you say there's no way you're biological father, and you claim to have a mile-long list of doubts that will clear your name today in court. One main reason is that you believe the man she's currently living with, who will join us shortly, is baby Caden's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Martin then proudly admits he hasn't done a single thing for Caden because in his mind, it's not his problem. And just when you think Mr. Martin might start acting responsible, he doubles down.
Mr. Martin,
yes,
you've done nothing for the child?
No, I did nothing. Because some fact, first night we had sex. The first day we met each other, we had sex. The reason why I don't believe it, this is my child, because she's very promiscuous. And when you have sex with a woman first day, that's red flag anyway.
Did you use protection?
No,
No,
Now this is just some wild math Mr. Martin is doing to dodge responsibility. And just when you think he'll finally take the hint, here comes Ms. McGowan with some big proof.
After it happens, and then there's a baby on the way, how you can doubt.
Because there was other men involved. Out of one of the potential men, others.
Okay.
So therefore, I cannot be that one. You know what I'm saying?
What math are you doing? How do you exclude yourself from the number of men that could potentially be her child's father?
Day she had sex with another guy. Oh my God.
If things weren't messy enough, Ms. McGowan brings out her own evidence with a calendar to back up her claim. But as if on cue, Mr. Brody himself steps up next, ready to share his side of the story.
Yes, I have the calendar of the date.
You do. So you presented a calendar that outlines the date you were intimate with Mr. Martin.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's April 2nd.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're intimate with Mr. Martin on the 2nd. The doctor tells you your conception date is estimated at April 3rd.
And here's where things get even juicier. Mr. Brody jumps in and says he's actually been playing the dad role this whole time. This guy isn't holding back, and it's about to get even more emotional.
I've been there. Tina and I, Miss McGowan and I have been messing around since February. I just pray that he's mine. I really do. Because when he was born, he looked like me. He was a little light-skinned red baby. He had my cow licks and everything. in the NIC unit when they took him from his mother when he stopped breathing.
Mr. Brody isn't just a maybe dad, he's been fully committed to the role and it shows. But the stakes get higher as Judge Lake gets ready to address the whole messy love triangle.
This past Father's Day, Memphis, Tennessee saw it in them to award me with Community Father of the Year award. The mayor was there and state representatives was there. So Caden will not fall short on a daddy or a father when it comes down to that.
That is great to hear.
Here it is, the moment of truth that flips everything on its head.
It has been determined by this court. His biological father is Mr. Martin.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Oh man, this is just the start, and it's already pretty wild. And let me tell you, things are about to get even weirder.
Ms. Morris, you've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your 1-month-old son, Jackson. You hope these results will save your family because you have 2 other kids together.
Okay, this is just bonkers. Mr. Byram talks about how he found out about Ms. Morris's little secret rendezvous with his own friend, no less. Yep, hiding in the attic. You won't believe the timeline of how long this has been going on.
Me and the dude she cheated on me with were hanging out the night before. We're really close friends. We stayed up all night, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I wake up probably 7 o'clock. He's already gone. She fought with me the night before so she can leave and stay at her grandma's house. She was over there with the kids. I seen him on the couch. That's when I started banging on the doors and the windows. I go in the house. He's hiding up in the attic of her grandma's house.
You think it couldn't get any messier? Think again. Ms. Morris says she was already being accused of cheating anyway, but what she reveals next about her dates will leave you laughing and cringing.
We were having trouble way before I even slept with his friends. He's always constantly telling me I'm cheating. It's been happening for 4 years now.
He keeps accusing you, so you just go ahead and validate the accusation?
Well, we split up for a month, and he was living down the street at his friend's, and he was dating a different girl, and I was staying in the house with the guy, the other potential father.
The timeline on these hookups is all kinds of messy. And yeah, just when you think that's wild enough, the details keep coming.
You say you are certain he's the father of Jackson. When did you sleep with him?
September 27th.
She could have slept with him the same day.
I slept with him on September 25th. That's why we're here today for the result.
Oh, so you slept with the other guy September 25th?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yep, things keep getting complicated. Ms. Morris says she's been in contact with the other guy's mom, wants to be in Jackson's life if he's her grandson. But of course, Mr. Byram is not too thrilled, and his reaction to this, classic.
Did you tell the other guy, Ms. Morris, that he could be the father as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
She's still talking to his mom about it.
No.
Sending his mom pictures of the baby.
So when the baby was first born, I sent her pictures of the baby because she was asking me how much he was. No, I did not.
Yeah, you did.
About how much, not an everyday thing. It only happened twice.
The tension in their home is so thick you could spread it on toast. Ms. Morris can see this, and things get even stranger after this.
Yes, he does. He shows my other 2 way more attention than he shows him.
Do you blame me?
You do admit you're having a hard time bonding with Jackson because you don't know.
I still buy him clothes, toys, and do whatever for him, but I keep my distance from him because I don't know if he's my son.
Here, Mr. Byram's doubts are loud and clear. And Ms. Morris? Oh, she's about to spill the tea on some major regrets.
You helped her out the entire time? You came when the baby was born?
I was there.
I
held the baby first.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No, I did not. I just kept looking at him and thinking about what she did to me, and I just can't treat him the same as my other kids because I know for a fact that those other babies are mine, and I love them to death. I just can't love him full on, love him until I know that he is my flesh and blood. I just can't. Never.
It's apology time, and Ms. Morris really starts to feel it. But Mr. Byram's response? Just wait. It's not what you'd expect.
I can see behind your eyes a lot of sadness.
Yes, Your Honor.
You know you've made a mistake.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you regret the mistake you made?
I regret cheating, but I don't regret my son. I mean, I would never regret a kid regardless of what happened. But I do regret cheating.
You do?
Yes.
This is it, the big moment. And whoa, the truth is wild.
It has been determined by Mr. Byram. You are the father.
Yes. Yes.
He brought her to my doctor's appointment. That's disrespectful. I asked him, I was like, the day after my son was born, I said, you can come up here and see the baby. He said, oh no, I'm
and what does it matter if I drop him off? I was the only one willing to give him a ride to see his own kid.
That's disrespectful.
I have kids. I know what it's like being a single mom, and I would not be with Jesse if he would not take care of responsibilities.
She cheated on me on my birthday.
I did not cheat on you.
She was gone with her ex on my birthday, and then come crawling back after that.
She was gone with Mr. Dallas or somebody else?
Somebody else. There could be more than one person that she's been with.
It's not true, Your Honor.
Ms. Clark says Mr. Newby bailed when she got pregnant because his new girlfriend, Ms. Faulkner, filled his head with doubts. Mr. Newby claims Ms. Clark was seeing someone else, and if he is the dad, wants custody because he thinks she's unfit. And just when it seems messy enough, emotions explode.
Ms. Clark, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Newby, dated for only 3 months before you became pregnant with his baby. You say the relationship was moving forward until he left you for a woman you claim is old enough to be his mother. It is your belief that she is the reason Mr. Newby is denying paternity.
Ms. Clark shares her tough past. Her dad's decided to eliminate himself, her mom's death, and addiction struggles during pregnancy. She admits to using drugs while pregnant, but says jail helped her clean up. The crowd applauds her turnaround, but the drama's far from over. Because, of course, it's paternity court, and it only gets messier.
Your Honor, when I met him, I was in drug use, but, you know, we were together for 3 months. When he left me, I felt abandonment because when I was younger, at 13 years old, my dad had hung himself because of drug use. And then 5 years later, my mother had died when I was 18 years old because of cancer. So when he left me when I was 7 months pregnant, I felt abandonment and pain and agony.
Mr. Newby's suspicions take center stage. He thinks Ms. Clark cheated, and others kept feeding his doubts. He was initially excited about the pregnancy, even showed off the sonogram, but the gossip got to him. Then things take a strange turn involving fake baby photos.
When she first went to jail, she would call me, and yeah, I would talk to her because I was thinking that the baby might possibly be mine. I've had my doubts from the very beginning. She's constantly lied. She's cheated on me with her ex, like, what, 3-4 times?
No, only
Something like
once.
that. Grocery store.
You know, you had doubts about being a father or whatever, then why'd you have this picture taken with me with the first ultrasound and being happy about being a father?
Things get weird when Ms. Clark admits sending Mr. Newby a random baby photo from the internet. Yep, a total internet baby to test if he cared. It only made Mr. Newby more suspicious. And that's not the end. Next up, it's all about hospital visits and boundary disputes.
Well, it was a picture of the internet. It sent him the picture, but I was just upset because he had left me to see if he would show any interest of seeing his son because he wasn't doing that.
You showed him a picture of a fake baby as if the baby had born.
Yeah,
yes.
A newborn baby. I got a picture on my cell phone. While I was at work, I showed my manager and ran home.
Hospital drama kicks off as Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of showing up to appointments with Ms. Faulkner. She calls it disrespectful, while Ms. Faulkner claims she was just giving a ride. Clearly, no one's on the same page, and now they're arguing about who pays for what.
He brought her to my doctor's appointment. That's disrespectful. I asked him, I was like, the day after my son was born, I said, you can come up here and see the baby. He said, oh no, I'm
And what does it matter if I drop him off? I was the only one willing to give him a ride to see his own kid. I have kids. I know what it's like being a single mom, and I would not be with Jesse if he would not take care of responsibilities.
Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of barely helping with the baby. He says he tried, but Ms. Clark always refused anything from Ms. Faulkner. Judge Lake jumps in, urging Mr. Newby to take more responsibility. But you can tell this fight is far from over, especially as the fitness to raise the child gets questioned.
I would call him and ask him if he can watch him or whatever, if he wants to see him. He said, I can't right now.
That is not true.
I want to take care of the baby. I tried taking care of the baby. You would not.
And when we bought stuff for the baby, she refused. She said, because Joanne got it, I don't want it. Because I bought it. She did not want to receive the gifts. And she did not want to
But it's not your responsibility. It's his.
Our money is combined.
Yeah, the money.
I don't care.
Mr. Newby claims Ms. Clark is unfit because she used drugs while pregnant. Judge Lake points out Ms. Clark's efforts to get clean. And even Mr. Newby admits she's improved. It's all leading up to the big moment. The DNA results are about to be revealed.
How are you going to be 7 months pregnant and then stick a needle into both of your guys' bodies?
But I
like
went
that
to
baby
jail and
had to
I'm
go
clean
through that
now,
for no
so-
reason. She didn't even give him a chance.
Ms. Clark admitted that was an absolute irresponsible action, which was inexcusable. I heard her say that. Mr. Newby, you are the father.
Ms. Holshoe storms into court claiming her mom had a fling with the defendant's dad, making her their sister. The Howard sisters are furious and call her a liar. Ms. Holshoe points out her name in the dad's obituary, and the drama levels up with more accusations.
Ms. Holshoe, you claim your mother had an affair with the defendant's father, and today you're in court to prove that he is your biological father. Ms. Howard, you and your sisters say Ms. Holshoe is a delusional troublemaker whose promiscuous mother destroyed your family. family and ruined your home.
Ms. Holshoe says she has terminal cancer and wants closure on her dad. She heard about her real dad when her drunk stepdad spilled the tea during a fight. Her mom confirmed it, and things got messy from there.
I've recently learned that I have terminal cancer, and I like to have family history. And I also, which I know they don't want to, but I would also like to, because my stepdad was drunk, he was fighting with my mother, and he said, well, who do you think your father is? And so after that, my mother told me. She took me and introduced me to DL. We had a relationship from then on.
The Howard sisters admit their dad once mentioned Ms. Holshoe might be their sister, but brush it off, claiming her mom slept around. The courtroom erupts into a messy argument, feeling like a Thanksgiving dinner gone bad.
One time when I was 19 years old, my dad, he was in from California. My parents were already divorced. We were in from California. He had us all meet him out at a country bar. We showed up, that and her mother was there. And after about a half hour, we had some drinks and stuff, and my dad
I don't even remember that. And she's lying, and I'm not a that. If anybody's a that, look over there.
Whatever the case may be.
The sisters talk about their dads cheating, but refuse to believe Ms. Holshoe. They share details from their lives, like detectives solving a case they want to ignore, throwing in some mean comments about her mom.
I was in California living with my father. We had packed up our things and moved out because my father had gone to where, at the bar where her mother was working, and caught her cheating on him. Probably has no idea who any of her children belong to.
It's not my fault you guys don't want to know me. It's not my fault that your dad had sex with my mother, and I'm a product of that.
Ms. Holshoe says she was invited to a Howard family reunion by Mr. Howard, but the sisters lose it, calling her a liar. She claims they chased her out, which the sisters deny. It's turning into a real soap opera.
Your Honor, Mr. Howard invited me to a Howard family reunion.
Lies.
It was at Guilford Lake.
That is a total lie.
How does she know where the reunion is if she was invited or someone didn't tell her?
Your Honor, I have been to every single family reunion.
And I have been
she
to...
has never been.
Is it held at that location?
I'm sure that she has this information because she's gone from my other sister.
Kelly Howard says she believes Ms. Holshoe because their dad literally introduced her as her sister. Everyone is left wondering if their dad ever thought this situation would end well.
Well, we were out one day, and I was about 19, and he said that he wanted me to meet one of his girlfriends. Met several of them before. So we go to Lynn's mother. He introduces me to her as my sister. We just went about our way after that, and I just took it as for what it was and just...
You never questioned it?
No. Our dad never lied to us.
Judge Lake reveals the DNA results.
That the probability of half-siblingship between Diana Howard and Misty Lynn Holshoe is 98.1%.
Two moms, Miss Taylor and Miss Johnson, team up against Mr. Barber, accusing him of being a deadbeat dad. They want over $7,000 in child support, and they're not holding back. This is just the start of the blames the moms for wanting too much money and causing drama. Miss Taylor claims he only cares about one kid because he's still sneaking around with that mom. It's like a soap opera, and the drama is just heating up.
The only reason you can't support the children you have with Miss Taylor and Miss Johnson is because they ask for too much money. They create too much drama.
Miss Taylor says she gave birth alone, while Mr. Barber flirted on his phone. He blames work, but she's not buying it. This is just leading to more tension.
I had my daughter by myself. My mother's deceased. My family could not get there. I come.
Judge Lake scolds everyone for all the shouting, saying it hurts the kids. She compares their constant fighting to nails on a chalkboard. The moms roll their eyes, and Mr. Barber tries to act calm. Let's see if anyone steps up. Miss Cooper, the third mom, actually defends Mr. Barber, calling the others bitter. She claims he's great with her kid. The room gets awkward, but the financial drama isn't over.
Do you feel like he treats your child differently?
No, I don't. I feel like he loves all his kids the same. I just feel like me and him have came to a common ground to co-parent. Our relationship and what we've been through, none of that matters.
Is he good?
Yes, he is. Very well. Love. She's a daddy's girl. She's the only one to be with him.
Johnson, 3,180. She tells Mr. Barber being a dad is more than just photo ops. It's like a game show where nobody wins.
You know, it is this...
A reality check. Time to grow up and stop letting his kids down. The moms hope he takes it seriously. It ends on a hopeful note, but this drama feels far from over.
When you got these women pregnant, you didn't know who you were. But now...
Wow, this episode kicks off with fireworks. Miss Jackson is in court to imagine catching your husband's mistress chilling in a hotel room you're paying for. Yeah, that happened. Miss Jackson recalls finding Miss Lipscomb at the hotel and letting her know exactly who the boss is. Spoiler alert, this showdown gets even crazier when Mr. Jackson shows up later.
Maybe a week after that, I was talking to, because my husband went to jail that night, Your Honor.
You see them
going to jail
I was
over
angry
bogus
enough. It was an
room.
impulsive decision, and I understand it was not the right decision, Your Honor.
You think Miss Jackson would be done, right? Nope. She actually bought baby stuff for the mistress's kid because she felt bad. She thought the drama was over, but surprise! Miss Lipscomb admits the affair never really stopped. This mess is nowhere near cleaned up.
Not only have we had conversations, before I didn't deny the child, I went and bought over $900 and some worth of stuff for her baby. Like I told her, from the conversation, Your Honor, she seemed really distraught. She said that, I don't know how it feels not to know who your child's father is, Your Honor. Whether it's my husband's child or not, out of the kindness of my heart, Your Honor, I understand that we all have shortcomings.
Just when you think it's bad enough, Miss Jackson drops another bomb. Miss Lipscomb might have had another boyfriend during all this. She even brings receipts, aka Facebook posts, to prove it.
This piece of evidence shows that she was also dealing with another man.
Oh, the moment everyone's been waiting for. The DNA test comes back, and boom.
When it comes to 1-month-old Keasia Jackson, Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
This kicks off like a reality show where nobody's winning. Mr. Burrage says he's been played and wants his name off the birth certificate, plus his money back for childcare. Mrs. Stephanies is fed up, saying Burrage was a great dad until now. Things are already wild, but they're about to get wilder.
Mr. Barrage, you've dragged Miss Stephens to court because you say you're being played for a fool. And when today's DNA results prove that you are not her daughter, father, you demand that your name be removed from her birth certificate and you be reimbursed for the past 8 months of child care expenses.
Both had side flings. Welcome to the world's messiest love triangle. Burrage admits he had a girlfriend while seeing Miss Team Stephanies, who also had another guy. Miss Stephanie says Burrage knew what he was getting into, but things turned awkward real fast. If you thought this was messy, just wait, there's more.
I also had another woman on the side, and you had another guy on the side.
And I never knew it was a girlfriend. We were together every day since the first day we started hanging out.
No.
But when I sent you the pregnancy test and told you I was pregnant, you said, what? I'm gonna be in her life. That's my child. You was there, you signed the birth certificate, cut the umbilical cord. I didn't force you to do anything. You chose to do that willingly because you felt obviously that she was your child.
That's like a soap opera crossed with a bad rom-com. Burrage claims he was trapped into this baby, saying she wanted him away from his girlfriend. Ms. Stephanie says he chose to be there because he liked how she treated her kids. The judge looks like she needs a lie detector test for this one. But hey, it's just getting started.
That's my child. I'm gonna be in his or her life. He's saying that I was just something to do, but that was never my impression. Me and Fernando, we was together all the time. It wasn't no one night stand. We was together consistently every day. I didn't think we were in a relationship, but I thought it was more because I knew that my intentions was to get more than what it was.
And you also said this to me, talking like you gonna try to take me away from my girl. You know what I'm saying? Trying to set me up, trying to trap me.
This is nosy neighbor heaven. Gossip galore. Burrage says neighbors told him Stephanies was seeing half the block, making him question if the baby was his. He even points out the baby's complexion is too different. Ms. Stephanies rolls her eyes like she's had enough of this nonsense. The judge starts piecing things together, but it only gets weirder.
I didn't know how many guys she slept with. Guys coming out the blue in the neighborhood while I stayed, just come out the blue. I hit that, I hit that.
And he's going off what other people saying. Ask him, does he know anything that's for sure? Not what people are saying.
Do you know for sure? Do you have any proof of this?
I have proof, Your Honor. For one, Your Honor, I don't have light blue, green, hazel eyes, Your Honor. So that's for one.
The other guy has light eyes.
Yes, Your Honor.
This part is either touching or hilarious. Barrage shares he didn't have a dad growing up and didn't want the same for Phelan, but now feels foolish. Ms. Stephanie says she thought Barrage was her ride or die, now feels humiliated. Just when things seem settled, bam, a twist.
I really don't know who my father is, because my name ain't on the birth certificate other than what my mother tell me, but ain't no name on the birth certificate. On my generation, my close in that family all the way to like 1874. And like far as our genetic code, we got big eyes, big nose, big lip. That baby got light eyes, little nose.
From you, Mr. Barrage, she's my child. Also, she can have my genes.
Things just got crazier. Ms. Stephanies reveals she's 5 months pregnant with Burrage's baby. Burrage says she trapped him again, while she insists otherwise. The judge looks like she could use a coffee break, and honestly, same. But the drama isn't over yet.
My biological mom wasn't in my life, nor my father. I didn't meet him till I was 12. And ain't no telling if that's my biological father. Why would I put my children? Phelan is my 5th child. I'm pregnant again by Mr. Barrage. And what, to go through the same thing? I'm 5 months pregnant as we speak now.
She trapped me, Your Honor. She trapped me with this one.
Things get awkward fast. Stephanies admits she was with another guy, but says it ended before Phelan was conceived. Burrage isn't buying it, thinking he might not be be the only possible dad. The audience practically yells at their TVs, trying to solve this like a crime drama. The tension here could power a whole city.
Have you ever had a sexual relationship with this other guy? So you have. What he's saying is you've had a sexual relationship with this guy. For some reason, you're still around him all the time.
Because
Unprotected sex, Your Honor.
Was it unprotected or protected sex?
Unprotected. When I met Mr. Barrage, that relationship, no, not at the same
It might be
time.
another man, baby.
Not
You
at
know
the
they got a
same
name
time.
for themselves.
This had everyone rolling their eyes. Burrage says Stephanie's put voodoo on him, earning a look from the judge like, really? The judge points out Burrage signed the birth certificate and played dad. Stephanie says she wanted more than just a fling, and now she feels tossed aside. Finally, the moment of truth is near.
Both of you have stood in court today and testified that you feel like fools.
Yes, Your Honor. A special type of food, though, Your Honor.
What kind?
She put some type of voodoo on me or something, Your Honor.
Acting like you don't care nothing about this girl. You are wasting my time. I'm trying to get to this paternity issue and you trying to act like you don't care nothing about this girl. Hit it and quit it girl that you don't care nothing about.
The DNA results are the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Barrage, you are her father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Lake kicks off Butterfield versus Bracknell Dallas, a messy paternity case about baby Kara. Butterfield claims he's the father, while Bracknell insists it's her fiancé Dallas. You can already feel the chaos brewing.
Mr. Butterfield, you've summoned your ex-girlfriend, Ms. Bracknell, to paternity court to prove that you are the father of her 2-month-old daughter, Kara. You say she's denying you are Kara's dad because she's worried her family will be torn apart when the results prove you are the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Butterfield says he and Bracknell planned for a baby, and during their breakup, she mentioned a gift. He wonders if that meant Kara feeling left out of her birth. The drama's just getting started.
Me and Mrs. Bracknell had a residence together for almost a year. We did try to have a baby together before. She had told me when we were breaking up, she said, "Thank you for the gift." And I said, "What gift was that?"
And then when you found that out, you thought to yourself, was that the gift?
The baby?
Yeah, you thought
My daughter, yes.
Bracknell says she found out about the pregnancy months after leaving Butterfield. She thinks the baby looks like her other kids with Dallas, but Dallas is ready to present some evidence next.
When did you find out you were pregnant?
Honestly, I didn't find out until I'd say 3 months after I did move out of his house. I was having irregular periods, so I just let it go for a minute. I'm not really a doctor person.
So what you're saying is when this relationship ended, you didn't know you were pregnant?
No.
But once you found out you were pregnant,
How could you not? You're not having periods.
Dallas brings out a calendar, claiming Bracknell moved in with him when Kara was conceived. Butterfield claps back, insisting he was still seeing her. The mystery deepens.
So this calendar outlines the date when the relationship with Mr. Butterfield and Ms. Bracknell. Kara was conceived in mid-September, and she was born in June. And she ended the relationship with Mr. Butterfield at the end of August. There's no way Mr. Butterfield is Kara's biological father.
Yes, ma'am. Dallas declares Kara his daughter, no matter the DNA results. Butterfield insists he'll step in if she's his. The room is tense, with emotions ready to burst.
Have you ever considered how you would react if, in fact, Kara is not your biological child?
You know what, Your Honor? I'm going to love her the same. She's going to be my little daughter. I'm going to raise her my life. Nothing's going to change. I love her to death, just like I do now. He's actually made our family stronger.
That's good. I'm not trying to get her back. I'm just trying to be in my daughter's life.
No, you just have a...
Butterfield found out about Kara via a Facebook post with someone else holding her. He accuses Bracknell of hiding it, but she denies it. The back and forth doesn't seem to end.
The only time that I actually ever found out that you guys were even pregnant, that's a Facebook post that they posted on that the baby was even. That's before I even knew.
It says, this little girl is ready.
Yep, that little girl is ready right there. And then I also, the only thing I got was a text message from of a friend saying of her sister holding my daughter.
Butterfield accuses Bracknell of cheating and even leaving him on his birthday. She denies everything. The tension rises as they prepare for the next round of accusations.
She cheated on me on my birthday.
I did not cheat on you.
She was gone with her ex on my birthday, and then come crawling back after that.
She was gone with Mr. Dallas or somebody else?
Somebody else. There could be more than one person that she's been with.
It's not true, Your Honor.
When I found out about it, I messaged her mom, let him know I was coming. I blocked, obviously, on their
That you were
Facebook.
coming? Let's explain that text message.
You guys even got together.
Butterfield insists Kara is his, pointing out physical similarities. Bracknell counters, saying Kara resembles Dallas and her other kids. Everyone's waiting for the DNA test to decide.
She looks more like me. Even her own family says it. They look like me. She's got my nose, she's got my lips, she's got my brown hair. All her boys are blonde.
Yep, and they've gone brown the older they get.
Exactly.
So you are convinced, Mr. Butterfield, this is your daughter?
Oh, I'm 100% convinced.
Judge Lake asks if Dallas would stay if Kara isn't his, and he says yes without hesitation. hesitation. His devotion is clear, but the DNA results will soon shake everyone.
So therefore, if in fact Cara is not your biological child, will you be able to continue this relationship?
Oh, yeah.
You will?
Yep.
Okay. It has been determined by this court, Mr. Butterfield.
What did I tell you?